verse now? Who am I gon' verse now? Show me what it's worth now. I pull up in the can't imagine all these people wanna follow, missing in action. Paper planes, I'm a condos, made it from rapping, and I met role models. Thinking I'ma pass all the monogram on my body, the shit shout out to Virgil. Know that I'm gon' beat them like the shit that I put words to. Mama and the internet, two things that I just learned through. Hit it out of the park, so there's nothing to reverse to. I can't entertain. Will you do the same? Cause I've been ready my whole life. Only see my back, I ain't turning back on them. Wings on me, I'm higher. Cause I've been ready my whole life. Wings on me, I'm higher. Who am I gon' verse now? Burn bright, I don't burn out. Crush your style, look at me now, huh?
I can never go reverse now.
But I'ma spin it back, A-jump. Wait from nada to the crowd, throwing their hands, bass jump. I'ma hit the finish line no matter what. They front, first place, you a runner-up, dominant, but the red and the blues going ruthless. 10 out of 10, 11, I don't snooze. I pursue, don't push it, put me in game that I don't lose. I stay cool, depending on my pen and pennants I choose. Ayy, I'ma show you how it doubt it, nada, loudest. Wu-Tang, I'm a bird, love the competition. Told you only way is up, I don't go reverse. I can't entertain. Will you do the same? Cause I've been ready my whole life. Only see my back, I ain't turning back on them. Wings on me, I'm higher. Cause I've been ready my whole life. Wings on me, I'm higher. Who am I gon' verse now? Who am I gon' verse now? Show me what it's worth now. I pull up in the can't imagine all these people wanna follow, missing in action. Paper planes, I'm a condos, made it from rapping, and I met role models. Thinking I'ma pass all the monogram on my body, the shit shout out to Virgil. Know that I'm gon' beat them like the shit that I put words to. Mama and the internet, two things that I just learned through. Hit it out of the park, so there's nothing to reverse to. I can't entertain. Will you do the same? Cause I've been ready my whole life. Only see my back, I ain't turning back on them. Wings on me, I'm higher. Cause I've been ready my whole life. Wings on me, I'm higher.
สวัสดีครับนี่วันนี้เราอยู่กับทีมบุรีรัมย์ยูไนเต็ด Esports นะครับต้องบอกก่อนว่าปีนี้นะครับเป็นอีกสุดยอดอีกขั้นหนึ่งของวงการ Esports ของ Free Fire เลยเพราะว่าปกติแล้วเนี่ยที่เราได้แชมป์ใช่ไหมก็จะมีเสื้อนักแข่งเข้าไปอยู่ในเกมแต่ว่าทีม BRU เป็นทีมแรกนะครับที่ปีนี้จะทำเสื้อพิเศษซึ่งเป็นการร่วมกันออกแบบระหว่างทีมดีไซเนอร์ของ Free Fire แล้วก็ทีม BRU ด้วยนอกจากเสื้อเนี่ยก็ยังมีของอื่นๆอีกนะไม่ว่าจะเป็นปืนเป็นไอซ์ซอนะเป็นผ้าคลุมนะก็ ไปดูกันได้ว่าจะเป็นยังไงเดี๋ยววันนี้ก็จะมาคุยกันว่าBRU อยากได้อันไหนแล้วก็ฟรีไฟเราสามารถทำอะไรให้ BRU ได้บ้างนะครับเริ่มกันเลยดีกว่าแนะนำตัวก่อนสวัสดีครับเจมส์มาโตะนะครับวันนี้ก็จะเป็นผู้ดำเนินรายการของวันนี้นั่นเอง
สวัสดีครับเจมส์หมิงนะครับเป็นคนออกแบบของในเกมครับ
พี่หมิงนี่สุดยอดมากๆนะครับใครที่ไม่รู้จักนะชุดดังๆอย่างแบ็กก็อดนะครับชุดไวท์ก็อดนะชุดนักแข่งหลายๆแบบเนี่ยพี่หมิงเป็นคนออกแบบหมดเลยนี่ก็เลยได้โอกาสในการมาออกแบบชุดนักแข่งใหม่ให้กับ BRU
ก็ฝากน้องๆติดตามผลงานด้วยครับ
สวัสดีครับผม BRU เด็กหลงครับ
ผมเกตไฮ XL ครับ
ผมโจนาครับ
โมชิครับโมชิ
ผมวาสนาครับ
เริ่มแรกเลยดีกว่าสีก่อน
ในสิ่งบุรีรัมย์ก็ต้องสีฟ้าครับ
สีน้ำเงิน
สีน้ำเงินสีขาวสีดำก็จะเป็นเน้น3 สีนี้ได้นะครับพี่หมิงคิดไว้เอฟเฟกต์บ้าง BRU พี่มั่นใจเอฟเฟกต์น้ำ
สายฟ้า
สายฟ้าแนวชุดกันบ้างดีกว่าแนวชุดอยากได้ชุดประมาณไหน
ล้ำสมัยครับ
ตัวร้ายครับตัวร้าย
ไล่เวียนมนต์ครับ
โหมดอีสปอร์ตใส่
เป็นชุดแนวอีสปอร์ตนิดนึงได้เลยเดี๋ยวจดไว้นะครับงั้นเดี๋ยวทีมงานขอตัวไปออกแบบชุดสักครู่หนึ่งนะเดี๋ยวกลับมาดูว่าจะเป็นแบบไหนมาครับตอนนี้ชุดก็เสร็จแล้วนะพี่ทำให้3แนวด้วยกันนะครับชุดเนี้ยมันจะมีการอิงกับความเป็น BRU ด้วยชุดแรกเนี่ยจะเป็นชุดสไตล์แบบเขาเรียกว่าคอนดักเตอร์ที่อยู่ในวงออร์เคสตรามองว่า BRU เนี่ยเหมือนกับเป็นคนที่คอยคุมจังหวะเกมทำให้แบบได้แชมป์มาชุดที่2กีโจบอกว่าอยากได้แนวแบบจอมเวทนิดนึงนะตัวนี้ก็จะเน้นเป็นจอมเวทนะครับแต่ว่าเป็นจอมเวทที่มีความสมัยใหม่หน่อยนะครับส่วนชุดที่3อันนี้เอาใจโมชิเลยตัวร้ายก็จะเป็นแบบแนวแบบเทพสายฟ้าตัวร้ายนิดนึงนะเดี๋ยวให้ดูเลยดีกว่า3ตัวปั๊บนี่ขึ้นมาอันนี้คือตกใจจริงหรือแกล้งตกใจจริงก็มี3แนวให้ดูนะครับอันแรกก็จะเป็นอย่างที่บอกว่าเป็นแนวแบบคอนดักเตอร์ตัวที่2ก็เป็นจอมเวทแล้วก็ตัวที่3เนี่ยเป็นแนวแบบนินจาตัวร้ายหน่อยๆวิเคราะห์วิจารณ์ได้
สำหรับผมก่อนเลยก็น่าจะชอบตัว A ครับตัวแรกแต่แบบอยากได้หัวของตัว B ไปใส่
อยากได้หัวสีขาว
ใช่
ผมขาวไปใส่
แน่นอนครับผมก็ต้องชอบตัวที่3ครับเพราะผมตัวร้ายหน่อยใช่แต่ว่าผมไม่ได้รองเท้าเป็นแบบว่ารองเท้าไอตัวกลางครับ
รองเท้าตัวกลาง
ใช่
ผมชอบตัวที่2ครับแต่ว่าชอบชุดตัวที่3ครับ
ตรงไหนของตัว2ที่โจชอบทรงผม
ทรงผมครับใช่แล้วก็ชอบหน้ากากตัว3แล้วก็เสื้อ
แต่ว่าชอบหน้ากากกับเสื้อตัว
3ใช่ครับ
จริงๆผมชอบทุกแบบนะเพราะว่ามันมีความหมายทุกแบบ
นี่เหล่าพระเอกว่ะ
ใช่แต่จริงๆผมชอบอันขวาสุดตัวร้ายครับแล้วตัวร้ายแบบว่าเห็นดีไซน์ชุดครั้งแรกแล้วแบบโอ้โหมันเหมือนนินจาตัวรู้อะพี่
What
คือเหมือนแบบซิกแซกได้
ตัวนี้ก็ไม่ใช่
ผมคิดว่าผมใส่ผมน่าจะเล่นพิวผมอยากได้แบบว่าเอามาแมทกับหัวนี้หัวตรงกลางหัวตรงบีครับเอามาแมทกับชุดที่3ครับ
ได้ใช่ครับลองปรับดูพี่เป้บ้าง
ผมชอบตัว1กับตัว3ครับถ้าผสมกันนี่คือแบบว่าหล่อเลย
โอเคทีนี้เดี๋ยวจะให้ดูเป็นส่วนๆบ้างนะเมื่อกี้เห็นบอกว่าชอบทรงผมตัว2กันเยอะแต่ความจริงก็มีหัวขาวสไตล์อื่นด้วยนะครับเดี๋ยวไปดูกันครับนี่ชอบอันไหนกันบ้าง
ผมซ้ายล่างเลยครับโอ้โหต้องเป็นมงกุฎโคตรเท่เลย
ผมชอบไอ้หมวกอันที่6อะครับ
อันที่6
ดูเหมือนแบบ
ตัวร้าย
ใช่
ผมชอบไอ้หัวดำแต่มีมงกุฎครับตรงข้างล่างข้างบนหมวก
ขวาบนพี่ขวาบนสวยใช่เหมือนกันป่ะขวาบน
เหมือนกันครับตัว3เลยครับหล่อ
ข้างบนใช่ไหมพี่
ใช่
สีดำเฟี้ยวกว่า
ใช่ครับ
โอเคได้พันหน้ากากบ้าง
ผมชอบแบบที่เป็นแมสครับ
ทำไมช่วงนี้
ขวาบนใช่กลัวแบบคน
กลัวฝุ่น
ใช่เป็นห่วงคนที่เล่นฟรีไฟครับกลัวติดแบบติดโรคติดอะไรอย่างงี้
ผมชอบไอ้สีขาวครับแต่ว่าอยากให้มีเอฟเฟกต์ตรงตาอะไรอย่างเงี้ย
ก็คือเอฟเฟกต์เป็นสายฟ้าทั้งตาเลย
ผมชอบอันที่2ครับ
อันที่2
ใช่ดูแบบว่ามีเอฟเฟกต์เยอะดีแล้วก็มีแบบมีลาย
ถ้าชอบจริงๆก็ชอบอันที่5ครับ
อันที่
5แล้วก็แบบใช่เอาตาของอันที่1มาใส่ชอบอันที่5เหมือนกันครับเหมือนป้อนเลยครับ
ต่อมาเป็นเสื้ออันนี้เสื้อเป็นแบบอื่นแต่ว่าเผื่อแบบอยากลองดูแบบอื่นหรือว่าชอบ3 อันแรกมากกว่า
ชอบ3 อันแรกมากกว่า2แบบที่พี่ทำมาทั้งตัวแล้ว
โอเคได้งั้นเดี๋ยวเก็บฟีดแบ็กของ BRU วันนี้แล้วเดี๋ยวไปทำชุดมาให้ดูว่าสุดท้ายเนี่ยชุดจะเป็นแบบไหนนะครับแล้วก็รอติดตามกันได้เลย กลับมาแล้วนะครับก็หลังจากที่เก็บฟีดแบ็กไปแล้วก็พี่หมิงก็ไปวาดเรียบร้อยนะตอนนี้ก็ออกมา6ชุดนี่ทางนู้นวู้ฮู้
ด้านขวาสวยจังเลย
เฮ้ยเป็นไงบ้าง
ในบรรดา6ตัว6ชุดนี่ที่มีผมว่าผมชอบตัวขวามากกว่ามันดูแบบว่ามีแบบไม่อึดอัดใส่แล้วสบายตัวขาสั้นด้วยขาแตกอีกเกือบเนี่ยครับแล้วต้องหมวกด้วยพี่เป็นสัญลักษณ์เลยต้องหมวกแล้วพี่มีแบบไฟด้วยมันโคตรเท่อะ
อันนี้ชอบชิ้นไหนที่สุดในชุด
ชอบขาแตกกับกางเกง
โจชอบชุดไหนที่สุดครับ
ผมชอบขวาสุดครับชอบเสื้อครับชอบเสื้อเต็ม10ผมให้7เลยเนี่ย
เราถ่ายไปอีก3
7ว่าดัด7ว่าดัด
จังหวัดเด็ดพี่เป้บ้างดีกว่าโค้ช
ชอบตัวขวาเหมือนกันครับ
ใช่เหรอเริ่มกันหมดเลยเหรอเฮ้ยรู้ได้เตรียมใช่ไหม
ก็กูชอบเหมือนกันนะ
บอล
ผมว่าชอบทั้งหมดเลยเพราะว่ามันแบบมันเป็นสัญลักษณ์ของแบบบุรีรัมย์อะไรเงี้ยมันเท่แล้ว
งั้นมีชิ้นไหนที่ชอบเป็นพิเศษไหม
เป็นส่วนของกางเกงของอันที่6ครับ
กางเกงอันที่6
มันดูโดดเด่นอันเดียวเลย
เป็นขาสั้นแบบสบาย
ใช่ครับ
มีเขียนด้วย
ว่า
BIU
ใช่
คนสุดท้ายชอบอันไหนครับ
มันเพื่อนๆนะชอบอันที่6
ชอบส่วนไหนที่สุด
ชอบทุกส่วนนะชอบทุกส่วน
คือเอาไปทั้งเซตเลย
ใช่ครับ
โอเค
ลงตัวแล้ว
ไงก็ฝากหน่อยว่าแบบชุดนี้มันเป็นชุดแรกที่เราทำแบบโคกับ e-sport เลยไม่เคยทำมาก่อนครับบุรีรัมย์เป็นทีมแรกที่ได้แชมป์โลกแล้วทำให้ขายของ
ฝากซื้อกันเยอะๆนะครับก็ถ้าซื้อกันเยอะๆปีหน้าก็จะมีอีกนะครับก็ฝากด้วยครับ
ฝากด้วยครับผมขอบคุณคนออกแบบครับผม
ครับ
After total domination of Thailand in Week 1, Indonesia rose up in this Week 2 opening day through Abe that won the Rusher Battle Challenge. Let's see how Abe smashes all the enemy.
But there is going to be the flash freeze, which will do a little bit of chip damage there to be worried about. But there is no worry as Abhay and Rand step in, put Makna out of their misery.
Remains against 3 players of MBR, but they're not done just yet. Abhay on the roll to being the best rusher on the Ego Challenge right now, and RRQ still a 4-man strong gets that booyah.
Ya, buat runner di luar sana lah ya. Ego gue lebih tinggi daripada kalian, bro.
3 regions, 1 challenge for 1 spot to stand on the high ground, to stand on the highest rank.
Kita bakal lebih rapi aja sih mainnya besok karena lawannya juga kan bukan sembarangan kan besok kan. Banyak-banyak tim yang jago lah.
He is making problems for Distant Minds and then Onyx Olympus charge in and Kasil ends up going and taking down the players, bringing it almost to a 1v2 situation. But
jangan galak-galak lah, bagi-bagi poin.
But Luan, knowing that there is no chance for the Falcons, the number is not in their favor. It is down to a 2v3 situation, but Pina makes it a 2v2.
ไม่ได้วางแผนอะไรไปเลยครับจริงๆเลยก็คือหวังแค่เข้าท็อป 12 เพื่อไปเล่นในวีคที่ 3 เท่านั้นครับเพราะว่าตอนนี้คะแนนผมคิดว่าน่าจะติดท็อป 12 เป็นที่เรียบร้อยแล้วครับในการเล่นวีคที่ 3 ก็คืออยากเข้ารอบชิงให้ได้เร็วๆที่สุดครับก็คืออยากเข้าวันแรกเลยของวีคที่ 3 แต่พรุ่งนี้ก็เต็มที่ที่สุดครับไม่คิดว่าจะแพ้ทีมที่ได้แชมป์เหมือนกันครับ
But on fire with the head strike, Trickery taken down already, but against the pickup and the electrotherapy gets Falcon down on the ground. WAT just needs 1 more shot to connect, and it's Trickery that pulls the double with 17 elimination strong.
Để có một câu miêu tả về đội hình của mình về mùa giải sắp tới thì đó chính là người thành công của lối đi riêng. Đối với mình ứng cử viên số 1 là khu vực Thái Lan bởi vì họ bắt kịp rất nhanh với cái meta 2 tỷ hiện tại.
They do have the M79. Use it! Nah, they perished before they could. And now put it up with the numbers advantage. It's a 4v2. LPT, can you pull another snow like body slam? Moshi says, don't you even dream. C1 down, get now 5 LPT and Buriram.
คิดว่าเป็นทีมไทยแล้วกันครับเพราะว่าเก่งทุกทีมครับทีมเพิ่งเข้ามาจากเวียดนามแล้วกันครับทีม VN ครับเพราะว่าอยากลองมือออนิกแล้วกันครับเพราะว่าเขาไม่ได้เข้าไปใน Esports ครับทีมซีเค็ดแล้วกันครับ
Individual play might be perfect for the highlight, but team play is one thing that delivers them to victory. Who will dominate the highest rank challenge?
is in trouble. Kyung saves him from the drop. And does he want to lay it out on top of the roof, or does he want to...
Fall has arrived, and FFWS SEA 2026 Fall is officially underway. Here's a look back at the standout performances from Week 1 of the tournament. AGAL came out strong on day 1, securing 150 points, with 101 total eliminations and 2 booyah. A strong showing that highlights the consistency of their roster, as well as the strength of their strategy and preparation heading into FFWS SEA 2026 Fall. With a start like this, AGAL has already made their presence known.
Dash, and there goes Ryu for the push. And Nameless will not take this sitting down, forcing him outside the circle.
Meanwhile, newcomers from Vietnam, Gangster Esports, made an early statement with a booyah on day 1, but they struggled to keep that momentum going, leaving them near the bottom of the standings by the end of the day. Now, with plenty of competition still ahead, Gangster Esports will need to bounce back and fight their way up the leaderboard. On day 2, MBR turned heads as the first Indonesian team to secure a booyah at FFWS SEA 2026 Fall. As newcomers, they proved they're far more than just a name on the roster list. This is a team that came ready to compete. Solid rotations, sharp decisions, and a performance that proves MBR belongs in this fight. And taking control of the leaderboard is Thailand's Team Falcons. With 3 booyahs and an impressive 182 eliminations, Falcons racked up a massive 272 points to secure the number 1 spot. Their point total puts them well ahead of the competition, showing just how dominant and consistent they've been throughout Week 1. With this kind of momentum, Team Falcons have already established themselves as the team to watch moving forward. And that's a wrap on Week 1 of FFWS SEA 2026 Fall. With strong performances, unexpected results, and plenty of action already on the board, the race is only getting started. Who will rise to the challenge in the weeks ahead? Find out in the next FFWS SEA 2026 Fall.
Secret WAG about to become champions of Southeast Asia.
Họ nói chúng tôi chỉ chiến thắng nhờ một kỳ tích. Chúng tôi đã nghe đủ một lời hoài nghi. Giờ là lúc chứng minh đó chưa bao giờ là may mắn mà là thực lực của chúng tôi.
Kami berjuang untuk mengukir nama di pentas dunia. Kini, kami di sini untuk membuktikan bahwa kami setara dengan yang terbaik.
เขาบอกว่ายุคของเรามันจบลงแล้วแต่ตำนานไม่ได้วัดกันที่อดีตมันวัดกันที่ก้าวต่อไปต่างหาก
Menjadi juara dunia memang pernah membawa kami ke puncak, tapi kegagalan selalu membayangi. Kini kami siap berjuang kembali.
Different stories, different regions, one ambition. Because greatness belongs to those who push beyond all limits.
สวัสดีครับนี่วันนี้เราอยู่กับทีมบุรีรัมย์ยูไนเต็ด Esports นะครับต้องบอกก่อนว่าปีนี้นะครับเป็นอีกสุดยอดอีกขั้นหนึ่งของวงการ Esports ของ Free Fire เลยเพราะว่าปกติแล้วเนี่ยที่เราได้แชมป์ใช่ไหมก็จะมีเสื้อนักแข่งเข้าไปอยู่ในเกมแต่ว่าทีม BRU เป็นทีมแรกนะครับที่ปีนี้จะทำเสื้อพิเศษซึ่งเป็นการร่วมกันออกแบบระหว่างทีมดีไซเนอร์ของ Free Fire แล้วก็ทีม BRU ด้วยแล้วจากเสื้อเนี่ยก็ยังมีของอื่นๆอีกนะไม่ว่าจะเป็นปืนเป็นไอซ์วอลนะเป็นผ้าคลุมนะก็ไปดูกันได้ว่าจะเป็นยังไงเดี๋ยววันนี้ก็จะมาคุยกันว่า BRU อยากได้อันไหนแล้วก็ Free Fire เราสามารถทำอะไรให้ BRU ได้บ้างนะครับเริ่มกันเลยดีกว่าแนะนำตัวก่อนสวัสดีครับเจียมาโตะนะครับวันนี้ก็จะเป็นผู้ดำเนินรายการของวันนี้นั่นเอง
สวัสดีครับเจมส์มิกนะครับเป็นคนออกแบบของในเกมครับ
พี่หมิงนี่สุดยอดมากๆนะครับใครที่ไม่รู้จักนะชุดดังๆอย่างแบ็กก็อตนะครับชุดไวท์ก็อตนะชุดนักแข่งหลายๆแบบเนี่ยพี่หมิงเป็นคนออกแบบหมดเลยนี่ก็เลยได้โอกาสในการมาออกแบบชุดนักแข่งใหม่ให้กับ BRU
ก็ฝากน้องๆติดตามผลงานด้วยครับ
สวัสดีครับผมBRUเด็กหลงครับ
ผมเกตไฮ XL ครับ
ผมโจนาครับ
โมชิครับโมชิ
ผมวาสนาครับ
เริ่มแรกเลยดีกว่าสีก่อน
นึกถึงบุรีรัมย์ก็ต้องสีฟ้าครับ
สีน้ำเงิน
สีน้ำเงินสีขาวสีดำก็จะเป็นเน้น3 สีนี้ได้นะครับพี่หมิงคิดไว้เอฟเฟกต์บ้าง BRU พี่มั่นใจเอฟเฟกต์น้ำ
สายฟ้า
สายฟ้าสายฟ้าแนวชุดกันบ้างดีกว่าแนวชุดอยากได้ชุดประมาณไหน
ล้ำสมัยครับ
ตัวลายครับตัวลาย
ไล่เวียนมนต์ครับ
โหมดอีสปอร์ตใส่
เป็นชุดแนวอีสปอร์ตนิดนึงได้เลยเดี๋ยวจดไว้นะครับงั้นเดี๋ยวทีมงานขอตัวไปออกแบบชุดสักครู่หนึ่งนะเดี๋ยวกลับมาดูว่าจะเป็นแบบไหนมาครับตอนนี้ชุดก็เสร็จแล้วนะพี่ทำให้3แนวด้วยกันนะครับชุดเนี้ยมันจะมีการอิงกับความเป็น BRU ด้วยชุดแรกเนี่ยจะเป็นชุดสไตล์แบบเขาเรียกว่าคอนดักเตอร์ที่อยู่ในวงออร์เคสตราบอกว่า BRU เนี่ยเหมือนกับเป็นคนที่คอยคุมจังหวะเกมทำให้แบบได้แชมป์มาชุดที่2กีโจบอกว่าอยากได้แนวแบบจอมเวทนิดนึงนะตัวนี้ก็จะเน้นเป็นจอมเวทนะครับแต่ว่าเป็นจอมเวทที่มีความสมัยใหม่หน่อยนะครับส่วนชุดที่3อันนี้เอาใจโมชิเลยตัวร้ายก็จะเป็นแบบแนวแบบเทพสายฟ้าตัวร้ายนิดนึงนะเดี๋ยวให้ดูเลยดีกว่า3ตัวปั๊บนี่ขึ้นมาอันนี้คือตกใจจริงหรือแกล้งตกใจจริงก็มี3แนวให้ดูนะครับอันแรกก็จะเป็นอย่างที่บอกว่าเป็นแนวแบบคอนดักเตอร์ตัวที่2ก็เป็นจอมเวทแล้วก็ตัวที่3เนี่ยเป็นแนวแบบนินจาตัวร้ายหน่อยๆวิเคราะห์วิจารณ์ได้
สำหรับผมก่อนเลยก็น่าจะชอบตัว A ครับตัวแรกแต่แบบอยากได้หัวของตัว B ไปใส่
อยากได้หัวสีขาวผมขาวไปใส่
แน่นอนครับผมก็ต้องชอบตัวที่3ครับเพราะผมตัวร้ายหน่อยใช่แต่ว่าผมไม่ได้รองเท้าเป็นแบบว่ารองเท้าไอตัวกลางครับ
รองเท้าตัวกลาง
ใช่
ผมชอบตัวที่2ครับแต่ว่าชอบชุดตัวที่3ครับ
ตรงไหนของตัว2ที่โจชอบทรงผม
ทรงผมครับใช่แล้วก็ชอบหน้ากากตัว3แล้วก็เสื้อ
แต่ว่าชอบหน้ากากกับเสื้อตัว
3ใช่ครับ
จริงๆผมชอบทุกแบบนะเพราะว่ามันมีความหมายทุกแบบ
นี่เหล่าพระเอกว่ะ
ใช่แต่จริงๆผมชอบอันขวาสุดตัวร้ายครับแล้วตัวร้ายแบบว่าเห็นดีไซน์ชุดครั้งแรกแล้วแบบโอ้มันเหมือนนินจาตัวรู้อ่ะพี่
What
คือเหมือนแบบซิกแซกได้
ตัวนี้ก็ไม่ใช่
ผมคิดว่าผมใส่ผมน่าจะเล่นพิวผมอยากได้แบบว่าเอามาแมทกับหัวนี้หัวตรงกลางหัวตรงบีครับเอามาแมทกับชุดที่3ครับ
ได้ใช่ครับลองปรับดูพี่เป้บ้าง
ผมชอบตัว1กับตัว3ครับถ้าผสมกันนี่คือแบบว่าหล่อเลย
โอเคทีนี้เดี๋ยวจะให้ดูเป็นส่วนๆบ้างนะเมื่อกี้เห็นบอกว่าชอบทรงผมตัว2กันเยอะแต่ความจริงก็มีหัวขาวสไตล์อื่นด้วยนะครับเดี๋ยวไปดูกันปั๊บนี่ชอบอันไหนกันบ้าง
ผมซ้ายล่างเลยครับโอ้โหต้องเป็นมงกุฎโคตรเท่เลย
ผมชอบไอ้หมวกอันที่6อะครับ
อันที่6
ดูเหมือน
ตัวร้าย
ใช่
ผมชอบไอ้หัวดำแต่มีมงกุฎครับไอ้ตรงข้างล่างข้างบนหมวก
ขวาบนพี่ขวาบนสวยใช่เหมือนกันป่ะขวาบน
เหมือนกันครับตัว3เลยครับหล่อ
ข้างบนใช่ไหมพี่
ใช่
สีดำเฟี้ยวกว่า
ใช่ครับ
โอเคได้พันหน้ากากบ้าง
ผมชอบแบบที่เป็นแมสครับ
ทำไมช่วงนี้
ขาวบนใช่
กลัว
เพราะาช่วงนี้กลัวแบบคน
กลัวฝุ่น
ใช่เป็นห่วง
กลัว
คน
ฝุ่น
ที่เล่นฟรีไฟครับกลัวติดแบบติดโรคติดอะไรอย่างงี้
ผมชอบไอ้สีขาวครับแต่ว่าอยากให้มีเอฟเฟกต์ตรงตาอะไรอย่างเงี้ย
ก็คือเอฟเฟกต์เป็นสายฟ้าทั้งตาเลย
ใช่
ผมชอบอันที่2ครับ
อันที่สอง
ใช่ดูแบบว่ามีเอฟเฟกต์เยอะดีแล้วก็มีแบบมีลาย
ถ้าชอบจริงๆก็ชอบอันที่ 5 ครับ
อันที่ห้า
แล้วก็
สีฟ้า
แบบใช่เอาตาของอันที่ 1 มาใส่
ชอบอันที่ 5 เหมือนกันครับเหมือนป้อนเลยครับ
ต่อมาเป็นเสื้ออันนี้เสื้อเป็นแบบอื่น แต่ว่าเผื่อแบบอยากลองดูแบบอื่นหรือว่าชอบ3อันแรกมากกว่า
ชอบ3 อันแรกมากกว่าของแบบที่พี่ท
อืม
ำมาทั้งตัวแล้ว
โอเคได้งั้นเดี๋ยวเก็บฟีดแบ็กของ BRU วันนี้แล้วเดี๋ยวไปทำชุดมาให้ดูว่าสุดท้ายเนี่ยชุดจะเป็นแบบไหนนะครับแล้วรอติดตามกันได้เลย กลับมาแล้วนะครับก็หลังจากที่เก็บฟีดแบ็กมาแล้วก็พี่หมิงก็ไปวาดเรียบร้อยนะตอนนี้ก็ออกมา6ชุดนี่ทางนู้น
ด้านขวาสวยจังเลย
เฮ้ยเป็นไงบ้าง
ในบรรดา6ตัว6ชุดนี่ที่มีผมว่าผมชอบตัวขวามากกว่ามันดูแบบว่ามีแบบไม่อึดอัดใส่แล้วสบายตัวขาสั้นด้วยขาแตะอีกเกือบเนี่ยครับแล้วต้องหมวกด้วยพี่เป็นสัญลักษณ์เลยตรงหมวกแล้วพี่มีแบบไฟด้วยมันโคตรเท่อะ
อันนี้ชอบชิ้นไหนที่สุดในชุด
ชอบขาแตะกับกางเกง
โจชอบชุดไหนที่สุดครับ
ผมชอบขวาสุดครับชอบเสื้อครับชอบเสื้อเต็ม10ผมให้7เลยเนี่ย
เราหายไปอีก3
7ว่าดัด
อ๋อจังหวัดเด็ดพี่เป้บ้างดีกว่าโค้ด
ชอบตัวขวาเหมือนกันครับ
เฮ้ยใช่เหรอเริ่มกันหมดเลยเหรอเฮ้ยรู้ได้เตรียมใช่ไหม
ก็กูชอบเหมือนกันนะ
บอล
ผมชอบทั้งหมดเลยครับเพราะว่ามันแบบมันเป็นสัญลักษณ์ของแบบบุรีรัมย์อะไรเงี้ยมันเท่แล้ว
งั้นมีชิ้นไหนที่ชอบเป็นพิเศษไหม
เป็นส่วนของกางเกงของอันที่ 6ครับ
กางเกงอันที่หก
มันดูโดดเด่นอันเดียวเลย
อ๋อเป็นขาสั้น
ใช่
แบบสบาย
ใช่ครับ
อ๋อมีเขียนด้วย
ว่า
BRU
ใช่
คนสุดท้ายชอบอันไหนครับ
มันเพื่อนๆนะชอบอันที่
ชอบส่วนไหนที่สุด
6ชอบทุกส่วนนะชอบทุกส่วน
อ๋อคือเอาไปทั้งเซตเลย
ใช่ครับ
โอเค
ลงตัวแล้ว
ไงก็ฝากหน่อยว่าแบบชุดนี้มันเป็นชุดแรกที่เราทำแบบโคกับ Esports เลยไม่เคยทำมาก่อนครับบุรีรัมย์เป็นทีมแรกที่ได้แชมป์โลกแล้วทำให้ขายของ
ฝากซื้อกันเยอะๆนะครับก็ถ้าซื้อกันเยอะๆปีหน้าก็จะมีอีกนะครับก็ฝากด้วยครับ
ครับฝากด้วยครับผมขอบคุณคนออกแบบครับผม
ครับ
After total domination of Thailand in Week 1, Indonesia rose up in this Week 2 opening day through Abe that won the Rusher Battle Challenge. Let's see how Abe smashes all the enemy.
But there is going to be the flash freeze, which will do a little bit of chip damage there to be worried about. But there is no worry as Abhay and Rand step in, put Makna out of their misery.
Remains against 3 players of MBR, but they're not done just yet. Abhay on the roll to being the best rusher on the Ego Challenge right now, and RRQ still a 4-man strong gets that booyah.
Ya buat raser di luar sana lah ya. Ego gue lebih tinggi daripada kalian, bro.
3 regions, 1 challenge for 1 spot to stand on the high ground, to stand on the highest rank.
Kita bakal lebih rapi aja sih mainnya besok karena lawannya juga kan bukan sembarangan kan besok kan. Banyak-banyak tim yang jago lah.
He is making problems for Distant Minds, and then Onyx Olympus charge in, and Kasil ends up going and taking down the players, bringing it almost to a 1v2 situation. But
Jangan galak-galak lah, bagi-bagi.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Free Fire World Series Southeast Asia 2026 Fall. You guys are watching the knockout stage. This is the second day of the second week. That means today teams from groups B and C will be playing. And to join me in casting these wonderful teams is going to be none other than Mustachio AJ. How are you, my friend?
Absolutely excited, Cribs, as always. You know, yesterday we saw the action, RRQ. Week 1, probably we didn't see the best of them, but yesterday they proved to us that they were not sleeping around, right? They were just definitely lying in wait, watching the rotations, watching exactly what they could do in Week 2, and they proved themselves. 2 booyahs, just like what we saw in Week 1. Peculiarly, it's on the Game 3 and Game 4, right? Falcons did it, Buriram did it, now RRQ did it as well. I want to see exactly who gets to rise up to the top today. I have a tiny little feeling in my heart. It might just be Buriram, because for a team that has been, you know, Southeast Asian champions before, 3-time world champs, they're kind of too low down the bottom of the leaderboard.
Exactly. I mean, yes, they are kind of low on the leaderboard right now because they haven't played as many matches. So today is like the perfect opportunity for them to keep up with the rest of the squads. I do believe that this is the last time the Falcons are playing in the knockout stage right now, because this is the last chance for the teams of Group C to play in. So I want to see if Falcons can actually keep their spot at the top, or if other teams will overtake them. However, there's a bunch of other teams that might just bring in surprises for us, because the transfer window, ladies and gentlemen, is ending tomorrow. I'm sorry, it's opening tomorrow. And that means that by the time you see us next week, we might just see a couple of changes.
So, yeah, the biggest question is still going to be, is Russia retired, or is Russia taking a break, or is Russia just not playing until this transfer window opens, right? I think that's going to be one of the biggest moves if it happens. You know, you guys can start speculating in the comment section right now. I'll catch up with you in a little bit. But yeah, I can't wait for tomorrow. We have seen so much of magic whenever these transfers happen. I think Falcons themselves, with Pauper now on the lineup, they have got their double sniper setup, and many of the other teams will be looking to catch up on that setup as well. So this is going to be an exciting time for the transfer windows to open. But of course, let's bring the conversation back to the leaderboard. You said if or not there's someone going to be overtaking Falcons. I think you're asking for a lot, Crips, because there's a long distance between where Falcons are right now and any of the teams that are about to play here on the day. Of course, granted, you will have a few teams out of Group C as well that might just have the opportunity to run away, and unfortunately, Falcons are part of that group as well. I don't expect them to be as lethal as Week 1, though.
Really? I thought that Falcons would be more lethal, especially now that AGAL is not playing today. Now that they're not snapping at their heels anymore, Falcons can just fly as high as they possibly can, with nobody even close to them in this realm.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But of course, let's check out and see exactly what the tournament format is going to be like. Earlier on, you did hear it from Krebs. This is the knockout stage. We're in phase 1 right now, and phase 1 is the first 2 weeks. This is the second week, and we're on day 2 already. That means today and tomorrow will be the final part of phase 1, where we'll set the teams up. And technically, in phase 2, what starts happening is the top 2 teams will start finding the early qualifier into the Point Rush as well as the Champion Rush Grand Finals. How this is good is the teams who are down at the bottom right now, at least they don't have to mess around with the big boys all that too much, and they finally get to start picking up some decent points in their lobbies.
Yes, so while there is a bit of an advantage to letting the big boys already graduate towards the Point Rush stage, you will get an easier lobby, but the downside is you will get fewer days to play and showcase your gameplay. So right now we're in the week 2. That will mark the end of the first phase. Then in the next week we will go to phase 2, where of course we will start sending teams over towards the grand finals, and in the phase 3 is the final run for these teams to get inside the top 12 into the grand finals.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Of course, the champions walk away with $100,000, and each and every single squad that has made it into this stage gets to walk away with at least $2,000, right? But obviously, nobody is looking to get eliminated very early on in the competition. They definitely want to be in the top 12. They want to see exactly what the grand final stage is going to be like, because we've got a few newcomers here as well. Teams like MBR, who have been hanging on for a majority of their games on placement points. I'm expecting to see them explode a tad bit as well. And thankfully, today, MBR will be playing as they are sitting in Group C. The points system has been the same as they have always been in our esports ecosystem, Chris.
Yes, so most of you will be familiar with this point system already, but for those of you who are not, let me remind you once again that if you win the Booyah or if you come first place, you will get 12 points, and if you relinquish your positions, you will also relinquish a bunch of points along with it. However, 1 point is still eliminated, still given out for each elimination, so I guess you can just keep on getting those eliminations and keep farming up those points.
Absolutely. And of course, like you guys have heard already, round robin format, 6 games per day. That's across week 1 as well as week 2. But only the top 12 teams will start off week number 3. And each and every single day of week number 3, we will see the top 2 teams move on into the grand finals. The rest of the teams gets to play a little bit on later on after that. But how that kind of works, you guys obviously have seen in the past 2 editions of the competition already. What I'm most excited of is that final week, that week 4, when the final 12 teams gets a full stretch of 3 days up against each other. They can do their homework on day 1 and they can explode on day 2 and 3 for us to take the creme de la creme, the cream of the crop of those 12 teams to send them into the grand finals as well.
Exactly. So while all these teams have a little bit of a lifeline, even if they do not make it into the top 12 in this week itself, they will still get a chance to play in the next week, although with lesser number of play days. And then they will just have to duke out against each other in the final week, where only the top 6 teams will make it to the grand finals. That's the point where you actually have elimination at stake, and that is when the danger bells will start ringing for these teams. However, if you want to keep themselves out of danger, these teams, all they need to do is be very creative with their unique active skills. Obviously, you guys are familiar with the rule of the unique active skills. Every player in the team needs to use a different active skill, so you cannot have 2 players running the same ability.
Absolutely. And of course, the starting lineups here, Secret WAG, the reigning champions of FFWS SEA. They were the champions of spring. Nobody saw that coming, and nobody for sure saw the way it happened coming, right? Back to back to back to back booyahs to make themselves champions. But of course, they went on to the Esports World Cup and weren't able to show the best version of themselves. We are also looking at Buriram, the team who is the reigning champions of the fall season from last year, who barely have scratched the surface in this year's fall season.
Yeah, I guess I can say the same for PE Sports as well. You would not expect to see this team outside of the top 12 given how strong of a team they are. So I'm really hoping that they step up today. Esports Putrajaya, on the other hand, they have been struggling, but that is completely okay with them because, you know, they're not exactly the favorites to win the tournament, but they still have given us some really good fights. So I have high expectations from them regardless. And then, of course, there's EVOS Divine. They haven't really won a Booyah just yet, but I think this could finally be the day where they come through.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that happen for them. MBR is the team that I've got my eyes on today. Yesterday, they were hanging on with those placement points, barely going for those eliminations. The times where they tried, unfortunately, they faltered. And also, we do need to keep a close watch on Falcons. After an explosive week number 1, yesterday, they seemed a tad bit lackluster. RRQ definitely outplayed them in a majority of those circumstances. I want to see exactly what they can do today here in a situation where you throw them in, you've got Buriram. Buriram is still struggling quite a little bit, and you don't really have a lot of the other heavy hitters out there, right? Like you said, AGL is not going to be playing today. A fair bit of chance for Falcons to run away from the other squads.
Oh, yes, definitely. I think Falcons can definitely cross the 400-pointer mark today.
Yeah.
But is that even going to be a problem for these other teams? It's so far ahead that you don't even need to aim for the 400 part. You just need to get inside the top 12. But right now, it's not just about who's going to get the 400. It's about who's going to be claimed as the king. There is going to be a supreme title holder for the Free Fire World Series SEA. And right now, the heavy contenders are obviously the defending champ Swag, Buriram, the 3-time world champions, and Onyx as well, who are snapping hot on their heels.
I'm curious to see exactly how this one goes. A little bit of a correction. They were the Fall champs of 2024, not 2025, Buriram. But I'm very sure Buriram would be looking to grab it for themselves once again. Last year, they were placed 3rd. They went on to the global finals to become the 3-time world champions. But after that, the journey has been a tad bit challenging for them, right? See Spring 2026, you saw them walk away with the 5th spot. A little worse at EWC, the 7th spot was all they managed, which is very surprising for the way this squad is, right? Because you can say that this squad has got the deepest level of chemistry in comparison to many of the other teams out there.
Oh yeah, and that chemistry is being questioned right now. Can you imagine that even after winning 3 World Championships, there are teams who are still doubting you? There are people in chat who will still say that, oh yeah, the days of Buriram Reign are over. They're saying that they've been taken over. And that just seems very baffling to me, because how can you say that the 3-time World Champions are no longer a top contender? That's just very baffling to me. Well, at least Buriram have the credentials to back themselves up. People have been calling the secret WAG win of last season a fluke. So those guys have a lot more to prove by showing that they can do it back to back.
Yeah, it's insane to call Secret WAG's victory a fluke, because, man, if they had just 1 or 2 booyahs, maybe, but they got 4 and they got it back to back to back, right? That's insane. The way they did it, I felt like they built momentum and nobody else could catch them after that, right? And of course, they were running off of the extra energy from the home ground buff, which the other teams obviously did not have. Of course, the other Vietnamese squads had it, but Secret WAG played with that buff the best.
All right. Now, I'm actually not surprised that you picked up Buriram as your caster prediction. You know, you do have some I would say that you do prefer this team a lot. However, I've gone for Bigatron this time around. I'm not 100% sure that they can win the Booyah, but I do know that they're going to get at least 20 points out of this game.
Yeah, you and I are both betting on the underdogs. Crazy to call Buriram an underdog, right?
I know, right?
In Nextera right now, Buriram clearly is not the strongest team out there. You've got Falcons, you've got Twisted Minds, you've got Onyx, and these 3 teams are so consistent on this Nextera map as opposed to Buriram or even Bigatron. But I'm glad that you picked Bigatron. I'm glad I picked Buriram. Let's see exactly what these 2 teams can do out there, because they definitely need to step it up. This is their opportunity to really make a change for themselves on day 5 of their run. And speaking of Twisted Minds, they were ranked number 2 in this map at the very start. Let's see if or not they can make it number 1, because they're not too far away from Falcons. Both Twisted and Falcons have not secured a Nextera Booyah just yet.
Ooh, all right. That should be pretty interesting. I do see a nice clash right off the drop. It's going to be PE Esports versus Onyx versus MBR in the ski lodge. I don't know about things being cold over here, because these action-packed teams are about to make it hot. This ice is about to melt soon.
Yeah, it's a 3-way battle. Got 2 Indonesian squads, 1 Vietnamese. PE Esports in a little bit of a pickle here, but it looks like Onyx is rotating away from PE, moving straight to the confines of MBR, looking to go for the hunt. Time Turn is going to be pulled out very early on by Jokers. Putra does not have the right gun. Mag 10 up against the Mini Uzi, but he does have the backup here with the Mag 7. G'day gets the double tag on him. Jokers moves away, still trying to defend himself, and there's no flank around. And G'day does not get the backup. Instead, Putra and Crime gets knocked down. What's happening? Onyx, they had the advantage, and MBR turns the tables on them.
Yeah, and G'day, he's just trapped over here. He's been trying to land those jump shots since quite a while, but he's been rather unsuccessful. And now there's backup from MBR. They're about to push him from both the sides, and he needs to hold his ground. That Max 7 can definitely help him stay alive if they both rush him inside, but not at the same time. He doesn't even get a chance to isolate those gunfights.
Yeah, that was a unfortunately bad play out of Onyx. They understood that PE Esports was already closer to the vending machine, which gave PE the massive advantage if they were to take a 4v4 fight against them. They saw a third-party potential right behind, and they didn't want to get squished in. So they made the decision to go after the players of Onyx, players of MBR, but unfortunately, the execution of that play was just way too soft, right? And of course, on the side of MBR, that was a fantastic advantage taken with just a little bit of time bought by the team members and Fancy from across the battlefield, with the Woodpecker managing to get that double knock. Beautiful stuff out of MBR. Yesterday, they were running purely with placement points. Today, it looks like the day has started off fantastic for them with aggression, with eliminations.
Yeah, so it's going to be a nice balance for MBR, and they're still continuing to hunt down the members of Onyx. Even though Crime got his life back handed to him, he's been put down in the grave once again. That's the second death for him in this game already. And MBR have also acquired a vehicle. They know where G'day is, so they're going to chase him down. And they don't even need to be worried about the remaining members of P Esports from Ski Lodge trying to get outside and third partying over here. P Esports are still far away, but a much bigger, more dangerous threat is approaching. And that's going to be Bigatron by Vitality. They are incoming here, and they need to get this fight done quickly, otherwise they'll be thirded very soon. Boom, lovely shot at close range, but it's not gonna help him out. MBR and Bigatron make quick work of Onyx.
Yeah, Onyx came back in there for the rechell way too quick. MBR managed to get the best of them, and Bigatron by Vitality showing up in the worst timing possible for Onyx. Onyx, the first team to get kicked out, but this compound is still gonna be extremely messy. Kyong, Diggs catching up in Fancy. Fancy gets knocked down to the ground. Bara's out as well, and Bigatron by Vitality, just like that, picking up the pace. Esports Putrajaya right in front of them, and perhaps the Malaysians might have a tad bit of an advantage here, but Sibang spots them out already. The first victim's going to be Raja. Koja with a follow-up on the Car 98 after that Riptide rhythm. And this is Bigatron on a roll, spotting out player after player and just not skipping a beat with the knockdowns.
Oh yeah, absolutely not skipping a beat. EVOS Divine, the team that is still yet to get a booyah. The team that is still responsible for proving that they can get the placements as well also comes in here, but they get nothing. Bigatron are getting all the frags for themselves. And with 6 strong already, these guys are having a nice rolling start. Nice shot by Kosel. Takes down Kyong, but I don't think Bigatron are going to be too worried about this one. They can easily recover from this loss.
Absolutely. So that's a quick hit and run here from EVOS. They're not really going to go towards the compound of Bigatron. Quickly back away after getting that one elimination, prioritizing their rotation and looking for a decent defensive compound obviously is going to be crucial here for the squad as they find one for themselves. And Bigatron by Vitality obviously not going in for the chase. They need to wait for that one revive. Off screen, Axel brings Jun back into play. Esports Putrajaya somehow hanging on. We didn't really get information off of that final player. And hopefully they find their way back in here, because at the moment, the spot where Esports Putrajaya sits on the overall leaderboard is not too friendly with them. They're literally 18 out of 18 teams.
Yeah, that would be a monumental climb for them if they manage to make it into the top 12. It is a long and treacherous journey upwards, but if anyone can make that journey, it is them. Oh, okay, then. I guess Falcons did not see that guy at all. They just drive past MBR. And they've got no idea. Another vehicle passing through. And Fantasy just stays there silently. He's like a ninja.
Well, Fancy, great play by the guy. And obviously started off the play here for MBR on a very high rhythm. 4 eliminations in his name already. And it looks like things are about to get messy once again. Magna right in front of EVOS, but right behind EVOS is Bigatron. Hyun going in for the chase. Aim God already half of his HP chipped away. And that was an easy takedown. The time turner could not do much. And EVOS, on the other hand, are not going to be pausing their stride at all. They understand that they definitely want to move on in and find these eliminations, but Magna right in front of them might just be the bait that they get tempted with, and Bigatron by Vitality might be able to take advantage of this situation as Magna now under heavy pressure. Vamos drives into the compound as well.
I don't know if Vamos are fully aware about the 4-party situation over here, because right now they're just crashing into Magna Esports compound, not fully realizing that there are other teams who could also threaten their entry. Now that they've lost one player to Bigatron, they will finally realize what kind of trap they've stepped into, but that's too late. June has already bit the dust. Meanwhile, Bigatron are indiscriminate who they shoot at. Whether it's Magna Esports or whether it's Vamos, they do not care. They will shoot at anything that moves. And now they go inverging into the trailer. Oh my goodness. It's actually so surprising that Magna Esports have been able to repel away the rush from Bigatron. But those nades could be massive problems. They get blocked by the ghoul walls. But here they go, finally!
Quadra!
If one nade doesn't work, you toss in a couple more. Surely one of them will do the job.
What a nade that was! Magna stood no chance whatsoever. Diggs with a big brain play. 3 grenades back to back to back. One got them down to half HP. The other one obliterated them. The third one was just a tad bit of overkill. But holy hell, from being annihilated from recovering and getting 4 eliminations out of that compound instead. Bigetron by Vitality having a fantastic run here. You might just get your prediction on point if they can continue this one, Crips.
Yeah, and I'm more surprised by the fact that neither Vamos Esports nor Twisted Minds, none of them could do anything. Meanwhile, Twisted Minds have their hands full over here, with Secret WAG looking to invade this house. Couple of nades being thrown upstairs, but the glue walls are blocking the nades once again. I said that exact same thing a couple of seconds ago before Teeks managed to get that entire squad wipe, but here they go, in with their shotguns, no longer just throwing utilities, they go up close and personal against Twisted Minds and eliminate them.
Whew. What a hot lobby we've got in here now. Buriram spotting Fancy out in the open. It's a 3v1 unfair fight. The rest of the MBR players not there to save him. Bara's watching this action from afar. Does he want to take a couple of shots? Answer is going to be no. MBR split on the battlefield and they need to they need to find some sort of a way to gather up before Buriram continues this hunt. And thankfully, Bara will be able to get away, but the same cannot be said there for Jokers.
Yeah, unfortunately, Buriram Esports, they've got this entire island in their control. However, I must point out the terror that Bigetron are on right now, because they just wiped the floor with a team a couple of seconds ago, and then they started shooting down the members of Vamos as well. And now that they're fighting against Falcons, it seems like they have absolutely no trouble with that whatsoever. Kojak kinda isolated, on fire, and Limit X7 both have angles on him, and that's a great knock acquired by Falcons once again. However, Bigetron Esports have nothing to worry about. They've still got access to a lot of vending machines, even the recall towers are available for them. So yeah, they can just leave this area and let Falcons do the dirty work against P Esports.
Honestly, the job's already done for Bigetron by Vitality in this lobby. Anything they get from here on end is going to be a super bonus for them. Sibeng on fire. 17 eliminations in totality for the squad of Bigetron. And they're definitely not done just yet. Sibeng's that final guy who's going to be responsible for hitting a triple revive. Bara, on the other hand, will do the same for the squad. Just a double to make sure the members are right back in it. And it looks like those revives are going to be too far away from PE Sports to pick up a couple of bonus points.
Yeah, and even if they try to pick up a couple of points against Falcon Esports over here, it will be too tiny of a chunk of flesh. They need something meatier to sink their teeth into. Maybe Seeping could be a lucrative target for MBR. He was the one responsible for getting most of their team under the ground, and of course, a little bit of action from Buriram as well. But finally, Seeping gets put under, and that is the end of Bigetron Esports. So, I mean, I did say that I don't expect them to win the Booyah, but I said that they will have a lot of points, and my god, I think 17 eliminations is way more than I could have asked for.
You can say that again, man. 17 eliminations is bloody big. Great stuff pulled off here by Bigetron. Unfortunate that they could not go all the way. 21 points in totality for them, if you add up those placements as well. And I think I'll take 21 for sure if I'm a Bigetron fan. MBR is still alive and kicking, a very big difference from what they showed us yesterday. Not just survivability, they got into the top 3 times out of the 6 games that they played. But when you look at the eliminations yesterday, it just was a tad bit unfortunate. They seem to be showing a little bit of a difference here on this map this time around. Hopefully this does continue for them. Rafaela as well as Bara. It's going to be a big clash here for the 2 MBR players right outside. And a jump pad will be used to reposition players. Bara gets shot down. And it looks like there will be no picking here. Oh no. Ah, man, he was close enough to the rest of the team members. But they were just not quick enough. But at least 3 of them have gathered up together. PE Sports cannot reach MBR now.
Yeah, and MBR is relatively in the center, right next to Secret WAG, so even though these two teams are next to each other, they don't really pose a threat because none of them will really leave the compound and go full sending it onto the other team unless they are forced by the zone. So let's see where the zone moves, and it's right on top of Secret WAG and MBR, so both these teams are in a pretty nice spot. All the other teams will have to descend upon them. Teams like Buriram Esports and Falcons will both have to make an uphill climb. Right now, both these teams are separated by these concrete walls, but once the circle forces them closer, they will end up locking horns.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Sichuan Beautiful snipe from afar. Kenshin taken out of the equation. Esports Putrajaya under a lot of heavy pressure here. Buriram on the other hand, stuck in a little spot here. Shot after shot by the Falcon players. The double snipe setup. Porpor and Limit X7 pelting them with the AWM bullets. Car 98 in their hands as well. And now Esports Putrajaya up against PE. LBT. Here comes Bedep. The glue wall melters are all laid out already. Raja is going to be the first victim to get taken down. Narrow. Flanking around from the right-hand side alongside Bedep. Mikacha, left-hand side. You got to watch out for this LBT with the M5.
Wow.
He takes the final shot and PE Sports cleans up Esports Putrajaya just like that. Clean execution of that aggressive rush.
Yeah, they didn't lose a single player. Sichuan also went down to a stray shot by Secret WAG and he's been picked up instantly. So PE Esports suffer almost no losses from this entire fight. And now they've got the high ground as well with this, just a little bit of the circle in their favor. So they can continue staying here and raining fire from above and everybody else will suffer for it. Falcons, on the other hand, are knocking on the doors of Secret WAG. Oh, on fire. Almost got taken down in the process of throwing that nade. But they find a little shack for themselves which will keep them safe for the time being. They don't absolutely need to assault Secret WAG inside this compound just yet, but I think they will be on the lookout for an opportunity.
This is a little bit of a situation here for the players on the side of Buriram. Falcons far away from the side of MBR, but too close to WAG. Tossing in a grenade will find Nan7, but that's just a little bit of a tickle. Not one that he cannot recover from. Secret WAG just backing away from the window again now. The car straight to the chest. PLS1 down on the ground. Easy pickup after barricading the window with the glue walls.
And now both
Secret
the teams...
WAG still has a problem here because Falcons are just waiting to feast on them.
Yeah, oh my god, wait. WAG are actually getting downstairs to force this fight against Falcons. Falcons don't want to take this fight. All three of them go upstairs with just Pina being on the staircase. He also joins them up, but Nan follows them up. Limit X7 sniping one, and another goes down as well. T-Koi taken down. Instant rest comes through, but it's all up to Hong, who will have to somehow go for the mass revives over here. I don't know if he can do it. He might just be able to force the fight against Porpor, but both these teams are starting to pick up their players now. It's gone from a 1v1 to a 2v2 again.
Oh, the grenade about to be tossed out. Porpor, get out of there, man. Inhaler in just the nick of time. PE Sports out of the equation. All thanks to MBR as well as Buriram. Tag team in. Limit X7 on the ground. No pickup for him. Porpor has to abandon project alongside Pina that he picked up earlier. But at least that's one save there thanks to Porpor for the side of Falcons.
Yeah. Both the teams end up clashing horns, but both of them end up in worse situations. Falcons lose 2, Secret WAG lose 1, and now MBR might just lose all of them. It's a 3v4 battle against Buriram, but both the teams trying to hold their ground. MBR have completely barricaded this house with a bunch of glue walls, but oh my god, what on earth does Pina just pull off? A triple elimination to completely destroy Secret WAG.
How is that even possible? And now Falcons just in hot soup. Pina just under pressure because of Moshi. Dragon Freeze tossed out towards Pina and the guy is recovering absolutely fine. Lightning Zone tapering off as well. And therefore Falcons don't have to worry about the situation all that too much. Glue Wall Melter tossed up against Moshi but barely reaching his defenses. Close enough though. The edge of the glue wall melter does manage to break down Moshi's double glue wall. Rifaela down at the bottom. Pina looking to prevent Buriram from walking away with this booyah, but all alone, can he do it? And MBR on the other hand, looking for a solid booyah here for themselves. After just surviving with placement points, they once again get into the final circle. A valiant effort for a team that is for the first time on the Southeast Asian stage. Pina with the M590, fancy down. Pina, make sure he gets the confirmation as well. Jonah finds Jokers. Pina still alive, and it's a 4v1. Falcons, there's no way in hell this happens for them.
Oh my god, regardless of what Pina does, Buriram will still win the booyah. And your prediction is right once again, AJ. Buriram, the 3-time world champions, once again proving their mettle over here. And this is just utter dominance from them. That being said though, I have to give credit to Pina. What a performance from this lad. Solo eliminating Secret WAG and stealing a couple of more eliminations onto MBR and the Falcons before he bits the dust.
And I want to give praise to the team that you voted might walk away with the victory here. Bigatron by Vitality. What an explosive game for the Indonesians. But of course, we have to highlight the champions of this particular lobby fest, Buriram United Esports, with the Booyah. Solid play, solid rotations, very safe rotations coming through from Buriram. Not really going out, looking for those aggressive plays, looking for a lot of elimination points. This is something that they have been focusing, hyper-focusing as a matter of fact. But I'm a tad bit worried, right? Because Jonah, as the backup sniper, as the secondary sniper of the squad, has not been popping off just yet. But if there's one thing that we know, we can definitely count on Captain Jonah rising up to the occasion when he's most definitely needed.
Yeah, and the fact that he keeps all 4 members of his team alive, especially in such sticky situations in the late game, that is absolutely crazy.
This one.
Just 3 nades. I think they blocked the first one with the glue wall, but he still managed to just pepper them down. Or I think pepper them down is a rather understatement. He just completely bulldozed them with those nades. Even this fight that Esports got into on the top of the hill against Esports Putrajaya, that was a pretty clean fight. That's probably why Esports were able to survive for that much longer. However, Buriram, even though they had a slightly slow start to this game, only 8 eliminations, it is still very impressive because they will end up going away with 20 points, the 12 from the Booyah and the 8 from the eliminations.
Oh, that's unfortunate. So that means Bigatron Vitality will be overtaking them on the number 1 spot. Buriram's going to get kicked down very early here. Now, as the secondary sniper of the squad, Buriram's Jonah walking in here with the Morse as well as his Beastin as the grenadier of the squad. We didn't see a lot of grenades from him, but we definitely saw a couple of snipes with that AWM that was hitting the mark. And of course, he was the one with the final shot onto Pina with the very aggressive chase. CQC with the AWM. You gotta love it. But we didn't see a lot of, movements out of Buriram that were fancy this time round, right? I think they have already been, quite brave with some of their approaches in the past couple of games, which definitely did not see a very good end. They played it safe this time around, and somehow they guaranteed the Booyah. But I'm not too happy that they got a very soft Booyah. I mean, 8 eliminations for Buriram, that's nothing.
Exactly. It's very uncharacteristic of Buriram. You expect them to go blazing in with their guns and absolutely destroying anyone who gets in their way. But I think that's not really their fault because a lot of teams did get out of their way. I mean, they were both... I think they were playing simultaneously with besides Falcons. Both the teams needed to get inside the zone. And even though Falcons was just knocking on the doors of Secret WAG, Buriram didn't really need to struggle to get inside the zone just like Falcons did. So it was a pretty easy path for them inside.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Very interesting as well to see Getna walk in here with the Shiro. So basically, it's all out information baiting, right? If he does get shot, if he does get engaged with, the players are going to be marked. Whoever who shoots him is going to be marked. That information shared out with the rest of the team members. And I think this is a very aggressive setup coming through from the side of Buriram. But they didn't really make a lot of use of that information. And again, we already called this Bigatron by Vitality was bound to overtake Buriram on the number 1 spot because of the explosive run here. 17 eliminations, still very, very impressed. Both the teams, so technically both you and I win on this one, right? Both the teams that we predicted right up at the top. But are we going to be able to continue giving those right predictions here? Because, man, this lobby is just so unsuspecting in terms of who's going to rise up. MBR, I feel, did very well as well.
Yes. I mean, it's not exactly the best game from MBR, but it was still much better. And considering the position that MBR in right now, they desperately need those kind of points. I mean, the fact that they managed to survive for this long, go for so many revives itself is pretty impressive because they were getting picked off very early on. They got into that battle against Onyx Esports. Yes, they managed to win that one, no problem. But after that, they got third-partied by P Esports, by Bigatron. So many teams just clashing against MBR back to back to back, and they were just not getting any breathing room at all. So even after being hunted by so many teams, the fact that they managed to get the reses and somehow still make 3 players get inside that 5th circle, I think that's pretty impressive.
Absolutely, man. But of course, we have got the interview coming up for you guys as well. Who's it going to be? It's going to be with the one and only Buriram United Esports. So you guys tune into that. Make sure you stay active in the comment section as well. We'll tune in and respond to you. Catch you in a bit.
Us, me, Pink, and
Jonah ครับ
Yay! So, congratulations on your first booyah today. You really did great today. Okay, so for the first question, among others, for FFWS SEA champion, what do you think about the other champion?
โอเคครับยินดีด้วยกับบูย่าแรกของวันนะครับก็คำถามที่หนึ่งเนี่ยจะเป็นคำถามที่คิดยังไงกับแชมเปี้ยนที่ผ่านมาอย่างเช่นออนิกแว็กแล้วก็ฟอลคอนบ้าง
ก็ปกตินะครับเหมือนทีมทั่วไปเลยใช่มันทีมปกติ
So basically, I feel nothing because like they're just other teams. So my feeling is kind of like so. So for the next question, so who do you think is the stronger contender for you?
คิดว่าใครแข็งแกร่งที่สุดในแชมป์ที่ผ่านมาครับ
ฟอลคอนครับใช่เพราะว่าเป็นคู่ปรับกันตลอด
Oh, so I think that Falcon is the stronger contender because like Buriram and Falcon has always been like a rival so far. Yeah. So for the last question, do you have any word for your other champion?
มีอะไรอยากจะบอกทีมฟอลคอนไหมครับ
ก็ทำให้เต็มที่ครับแล้วก็เข้ารอบชิงไปด้วยกันครับ
Okay. So we hopefully you did your best and let's see each other in the final rounds. Okay, so that's all for us now. So let's go back to the caster.
Did Jonah just smile at the end there? That's such a rare thing from the guy, man. He's just so chill. He doesn't feel much. You know, he just wants to go out there. It's just another day in the office for Captain Jonah. And I feel like they could have done better, but they are not aiming to be the wildest team out there in the lobby. They know they've got great mechanical skills. They can pop a couple of heads if they wanted to. But what they cannot guarantee for themselves is those booyahs. And that's exactly what Buriram is trying to sharpen up on right now. And I feel like they're doing a really good job. So can you imagine what happens when we combine that version of Buriram that's so, incredibly good at fighting the final circle as well as these booyahs, plus those eliminations? I feel like we're going to have an unstoppable force on our hands at that point. But the same can be said for Bigatron by Vitality as well, right? I mean, those guys were explosive. It's just a tad bit unfortunate, got scrambled up after that.
Yeah, and the fact that they got 17 eliminations, all of that before the third circle even begins to close in, I think that's the more impressive part because you have to work harder to hunt down those players when the circle is that much bigger. In the final circle, if all the teams are descending upon you and you've got the zone advantage, then it becomes slightly more convenient for you to pick up those eliminations. But no, Bigatron had to go out of their way to get all those frags, and that's just even more impressive. It's like two polar opposite ends of the spectrum today. You have Buriram who are being rather passive and Bigatron are being extremely aggressive. If both the teams end up doing both of those things, then I don't think the rest of the lobby will survive. Then it will be a very top-heavy game.
Absolutely. Purgatory's done. We've got Solara and Bermuda coming up for you guys before we take a quick short break. And then it's going to be Kalahari, Nextera, and of course the randomizer out for game number 6. This next map, Solara, I feel like Purgatory was kind of good in terms of, yes, you've got the size of the map, but we had a lot of action back to back. But I guess you can times that by 3 when we head on into Solara shortly. Yeah, absolutely, man. But of course, if Solara is going to be that map where we can expect a lot of engagements, it's going to be a question of who is going to be walking away with a bunch of those eliminations, right? Earlier on, we did see Bigatron by Vitality doing very well. And I felt like it was a combination of those long-range engagements as well as those CQCs, which they were executing very, very well. But getting far into these lobbies, getting towards that final circle was one that took a little bit of extra finesse. Teams like Buriram managed to do it very well, but also Falcons, I felt like they were very impressive in that first game.
Oh yeah, Pina more impressive than the rest in this kind of a game, especially with him wiping out Secret WAG by himself and getting a couple of more eliminations in that final circle. Even though he had no chance of winning any gunfights by himself, he was still stealing those points away. However, there is a team over here in the Daily Clash Challenge, Onyx Esports. Their name was on your screen just a couple of moments ago, and they had a pretty bad time in Purgatory. So I hope that they can recover their momentum as they go into Solara.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But of course, let's see what our predictions are. It looks like we're going to be double lightning this time. Buriram from both clips as well as the Mustachio. Let's see if or not we get this one on point or we just successfully curse them. A double curse.
Yeah, I think sometimes when we both pick the same teams, that's when they end up getting cursed. So I hope that they don't blame us if they get out early on. However, if they win, I hope we get the credit. I know I'm being a little unfair over here by setting these double standards, but it is Buriram after all, ladies and gentlemen. You can't blame us for picking them up as our prediction. Let's see whether or not they can dominate in Solara.
And let's see if or not they can do exactly that. I'm very excited to see exactly what kind of a momentum Bigatron by Vitality kicks off this match. Can they actually have their high-octane action continue on? Is the early defeat, is the early exit from this Purgatory map that we just saw conclude going to spur them on, right? Going to motivate them to go all out for a booyah this time round and prove both Cribs and my prediction wrong? We'll have to wait and see. This was the spot where Buriram failed to stop Lions from becoming champions. I felt like Lion on this compound were brilliant at the hub. The early exit from the compound, the way they recovered was absolutely fantastic at the Esports World Cup. This was also where Buriram technically failed. So quite curious to see exactly how much they have recovered their play on Solara.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty traumatic compound for them going to the hub, but it's where they've always gone, so I do not think Buriram will have any problems this time around. Yes, they couldn't secure it against Lions, and it's been a couple of weeks since they came back from Paris, but I think they are still not over that entire trauma yet, and they've still got a thing or two to prove. I mean, they were the world champions after all. It is not going to be easy to give that title away to someone else. Especially when you thought that this area, the hub, used to be your place. It was your home turf. So, yeah, that wound is going to bother them for a bit.
And technically, it was still their home turf. They just got ambushed and got their butts kicked. So, technically speaking, Lions, they ran away from that battle. But I felt like the way they got away from that engagement was pretty fantastic, right? And Buriram should know it like the back of their hands. They just could not catch on to them.
Yeah, right now, they only need to catch up to Bigatron. Luckily, both Bigatron as well as Buriram, they are two peas in a pod right now because both of them need to get inside that top 6 or maybe even the top 3. I mean, that is the only kind of place that is appropriate for a team of their caliber. And right now, you've got Falcons over there and AG Global who are in the top 2 rather uncontested. So let's see if Buriram can turn that narrative over here now because they've got Pina approaching MBR and I smell a potential third party on the horizon. But Falcons are being very, very careful. They're taking each step with a bit of caution and not full committing before they have all the information.
Wang Am. Beautiful Dragon Freeze will tag Ekal, but that's about it. And backup arrives instantaneously for Wang Am. It's going to be a 3v4 at this particular time. WAG, the final player, still not spotted out there just yet. I wonder exactly where he is. Probably trying to play the flank PLS1. Wang Am with the Woodpecker looking for Ekal. Will miss all of his shots, but that will still keep Ekal right behind. Here comes down 7, driving straight in to knock Coach Shield down. A beautiful play by Secret WAG. They just pull a little bit of the advantage to their side.
Yeah, it's a quick flank, and there you go. They've got 3 eliminations instantly. Aim got the one person from EVOS who was away from the rest of his team, does manage to revive 2 of his players. But now we've got another battle brewing up in the archway. You've got MBR, who are just about to go up against Falcons. On Fire's been spotted, and he also spots 2 players in return, so he will give that information to Pina. But by the time they look at Pina, On Fire will confirm the elimination onto Jokers. That's an instant opening for Falcons. On Fire does lose his life. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Jokers will be brought back, but oh no, Pina getting taken down was not on my bingo card. That's the thing that MBR needed to make that recovery.
Again, you keep throwing MBR into sticky situations like these, and they are just rising up to the top like oil and water. You just can't keep them down at this point of time. Sibank finding Esports Putrajaya's Kenshin from afar. The battle between Bigatron by Vitality as well as Malaysia's Esports Putrajaya now in full flow. But Twisted Minds looking to play third party in this situation as they quickly swoop on in. Shots from afar. AC80 finding the connection with Kyong, but a good glue wall will be pulled up. Diamond flanking around from the left-hand side. Bigatron by Vitality with PE Esports towards their right as well. Might not be able to get out of this sticky situation.
I don't think they want to get out of that
Oh,
situation because now even Vamos Esports is coming in, and this would be basically Bigatron being locked into this area for the next few minutes. Yes, they have lost a player, but I think Twisted Minds and Magna Esports Club can take care of each other if they face against each other in the Delta Square region. And yeah, sure, Vamos Esports is on the way back, but Esports probably will not be able to cross that river to get Deeks. Oh my god, now this battle is in full swing. Olive gets his ankles broken by the bus as he uses that dash to climb up the staircase. Exposing and Olive both fighting each other, but that fight is not going anywhere. Both these teams are using so many moves, but the jump and the pass, these guys have managed to get the first 2 knocks. Magna Esports Club on the verge of elimination. Winzy running around that entire Time Turner using the jumping to his advantage, but all that movement still doesn't save him. He gets 1 knock onto Explosy, and even that doesn't do much. Twisted Minds get all their players back.
And through all of that chaos, Bigatron by Vitality ran out of gas, the first team to get eliminated from the Solara lobby. After a phenomenal performance through the eliminations in that Purgatory map that we just saw conclude earlier on, they just could not make their way through towards that final circle yet again. But this time, barely any eliminations on their side. I think they managed to get 2 for themselves before getting knocked out. Now, the same might happen here for Onyx as well. Earlier was a rough game for them. Now up against Vamos from the side of Malaysia. It's going to be the split blitz that does not find the full connection, but Poom finds Suez on the flank here. Great positioning from the guy. Now PE Esports up against Magna. The action just does not stop in Solara.
Oh my god, Vedep. He could be the guy that turns this fight around. Nade thrown in towards him, but Olive doesn't get much done. He has to make sure his back is secure. They've got access to the vending machine as well, so Magna Esports Club can recover, but so can Bidep. PE Esports back at full strength. It's once again a 4v4, but the other players from PE Esports probably might not land in the same exact spot. Magna Esports Club, they are kind of separated from each other. Getbu and Alif on one end of this area, the other 2 players on the northern side of Windmill, and this could be dangerous because now Vamos Esports have a bounty on them onto Virus. Winzy also escaping from the region, rather unharmed, but Nero is hot on his heels and finally sprays him down. But wait, Nero overcommitted in that process. He ends up relinquishing his life to Diamond.
Yeah, I mean, Diamond, great positioning for the guy. High ground advantage as well as the broken Kar98 in his hands. Easy, quick shot. Takes Nero down, and PE Esports will have to play recovery here. LBT about to be caught out. The best. Ooh, does not go out for the full check around the corner. That's going to allow LBT to survive. But the vending machine on the opposite side of where LBT is sitting down at this point of time, with Twisted Minds right between them, as well as Magna. It looks like Magna's not going to get very far away. Alif tried to quick finger that vending machine for the revival, but will fail, unfortunately, and Twisted Minds will bring Magna's run to an end.
He was so close to the vending machine. Maybe a glue wall, or maybe just a second before, if he was able to get there, he probably would have been able to save his team. But Magna Esports as well as Bigatron, first 2 teams to bite the dust in this game. Nice shot, but hold on. It's not even the boss who gets that elimination. Finally, even though Diamond managed to land that shot and the knock, the point goes to the respective player who took that risk to get inside that compound and go up close. Mikasa gets blown out in the open by that Riptide Rhythm, forced to once again reunite with Raja. Now both these players are on the same side of the wall. Twisted Minds are flanking them from the south, and I think so Esports Putrajaya want to get that team into their crossfires. There you go, that's exactly the opening Raja was looking for. Charge Buster doing well, confirms the elimination, but Diamond avenges his fallen teammate. Diamond and Exposé both trying to go for the sprays. The glue wall saves his life for the time being. Can he be spared? Diamond activates the cell points and tries to get away from here, but Mikasa already chasing him down. He's got him in the tracks. How is he still alive? No, he's let Diamond get away. But he can't close in the distance. If Diamond gets near Exposé, then it will be impossible to chase him.
Mikacha with the biggest ball drop of the century there. And a fantastic opportunity to really cripple the players on the side of Twisted Minds. But it's all right. We'll catch up with them in a little bit as the rest of his team continues to get wrecked by Twisted Minds. Esports Putrajaya might just have their run ended right there. Secret WAG on the other hand, trying to tackle the boys on the side of MBR. Electrotherapy fully connected already, but as you can see, MBR has fully barricaded this compound, locking themselves in with those glue walls. And it looks like that's going to leave WAG outside for the picking as EVOS now appears in the compound as well. They've got the high ground advantage, but Secret WAG has already made that entrance in. Rifaelati Kui trying to run straight into his opponents, will find no knock, but instead gets knocked down onto the ground. No save for the rest of his players just yet. Wang Am now knocked down to the ground as well, but EVOS has arrived. Can you really wrap this up quickly? As EVOS now tries to interfere, Secret WAG as well as MBR in deep trouble as Esports makes the exit.
Oh my god, even MBR falls. EVOS gets that final nail in the coffin, and Faiz now gets the knock onto PLS1 as well. Nan somehow trying to get inside the car. He runs right into his opponents and straight through their bodies. Over the hill. Can he ride off into the sunset? Not just yet. His car is blown up, but the hope is still alive. Faiz is still looking for him, but Nan has broken his ankles, cut lines of sight, and now he gets onto the zip rail, but it gets sniped. Lovely shot by Faiz, and that's a perfect third party by EVOS Divine.
A beautiful play here by EVOS Divine. And that all started off with the MBR barricading WAG outside their compound. WAG just breaking all of those glue walls, and all of those gunshots made it impossible for them to hear EVOS taking some shots at them as well from afar. And EVOS obviously wasted no time whatsoever, cutting down the distance, running into the house, being the perfect third party. And unfortunately, we didn't see how PE Sports made the exit from the lobby, but we definitely saw how MBR as well as Secret WAG say bye-bye. All thanks to EVOS. No Russia, no problem at this point of time. And Twisted Minds, we were talking about how they had an unfortunate early exit from the Purgatory lobby. This is a fantastic recovery for the squad. 11 eliminations so early on, and it looks like the Bass has an opportunity to take Peter down, and he does exactly that with the help of Diamond with the Car 98.
It's a complete flip of the script. The teams that were doing really well in the previous game are the first ones to leave this Solara match. Bigotron led the pack by a mile, and now they're the first team to get eliminated. Meanwhile, Twisted Mind struggling in Purgatory, they make that massive comeback in Solara. So let's see if this day is full of even more surprises like this. Will we get to see more scripts being flipped? Oh my god! Putra, I think he just flipped his entire phone to get that shot. Lovely connection. Day also goes down, but I think Putra should be able to bring him back up, just using his heal pistol also a little bit more. No, G'day goes down to the zone again after he was picked up. Yeah, they're gonna have to work a little bit harder. They're gonna have to shoot him a little bit more with that heal pistol so that he can make it in. However, with the heal rune deployed, I think G'day should be fine now, and the zone is not that far, so he's good. They recovered from the losses, but do they know that June from Mamos Esports is still behind them? Now they know! He takes down Crime!
Yeah, the answer was just definitely no, right? Nobody suspected June to be right behind. Crime down on the ground. Now, boom, stealth bites activated already, looking to reposition, but I guess not to flank around the Vamos player, but just to get into a safer spot, looking for the circle. Crime on the ground. June once again from afar. VSK straight to the head. Vamos will take whatever they can get, but June also giving away his position, will not be able to get out of that spot, as everybody will be looking for revenge. Buriram up against Falcons on the other hand. Is this where Falcons falls? Well, it starts off with Limit down on his knees, cannot recover. The rest of the players on the side of Falcons, or I have to say players, singular, trying to get away, and it's Paw once again. Can he get to the vending machine? Not too far away. Moshi is already with the pre-aim, and the them is just too beautiful. Moshi's right back in it, and unfortunately Paw does not stand the chance to shine this time round.
Paul walks straight into Moshi's crosshairs. He knew exactly where Buriram would be. And now that the number one team is out, it's open season for Buriram, and they will be able to paint this entire ground crimson with the blood of their opponents. Their next target, Twisted Minds, right around the corner. And look at the spread of Buriram Esports. They got three players in three different directions. And it's a pretty good spread which they can flank Twisted Minds. They're getting shot from every direction now, closing in the distance with the glue wall melters. And actually, this be done because Twisted Minds have their backs against the wall. The nades go flying in. The glue wall melters also making their lives a little bit more difficult. Kadram use Moshio exposed, but it doesn't bother him even in the slightest. Wasana dives right inside, gets the shot onto Exposi, but no knock just yet. Wasana going for a flank yet again from the other side, with Getna following up close behind, and they're chasing down Exposi to the ends of the earth. Confirmation on him as well. 3v4 now, AJ, with Jump in trouble. He's trying to isolate these fights, but he's just simply not getting anything. Buriram are hunting them down like a pack of wolves, and you are just never gonna get that 1v1 2v1 at all. Diamond begging for his life, alive for the next few seconds. Will Moshi finally put him 6 feet under? Can he dig him a shallow grave? Because Buriram don't have time to dig 6 feet.
Yeah, Jonah kicked some butt in that battle, walking away with 2 eliminations off of his M82B. Yes, you can pull out those glue walls, but you cannot get away from Captain Jonah, especially when you've been marked up already. Now, Buriram going in there for the back-to-back booyah. Can they be prevented? An opportunity here for the Indonesians, EVOS as well as Onyx. Now, Jonah, good jump right on top of the roof, but Wasana does not make it through as Boom goes Boom with the AWM, dropping the guy down. Moshi and Getna will hold back. Shots there. What in the world was Buriram thinking? Obviously, they were not going to be able to make that jump. Moshi up top. Crime does manage to get the knock, but Jonah there. Double glue wall. Now on the prone, looking for the pickup onto Moshi as well. This is a crucial pickup. Buriram now left only with 2 players.
Oh my goodness, this could be quite overwhelming for Buriram. And they get found. Onyx and EVOS work together to take down Moshi and Joanna. And Buriram will not get their double back-to-back booyah just yet.
I mean, that was an unfortunate rotation there for the players on the side of Buriram. Obviously, you want to get that vantage point up on top. And after you saw Getna get knocked down to the ground, the sign should have been, do not make the jump. And a unfortunate mistake. Whoever who made that call made the wrong call. And that brought a unfortunate end to Buriram's run here on the Salara map. And now Indonesia stands a strong chance of walking away with the booyah unless a super crazy miracle happens for Malaysia through Mikacha. Esports Putrajaya just waiting for an opportunity. Aim God, beautiful headshot there onto Poom. And the biggest problem in their sides here, the biggest problem on the side of Onyx has been taken down early. EVOS pretty much has guaranteed themselves the booyah on the Salara map.
Unless Crime can do something about it. No, he cannot. Mikasa finally shows himself and takes down Crime, stealing that point away from EVOS Divine. And the one team that's been struggling to get a booyah so far will finally put their first booyah on the board. EVOS Divine coming through with the win.
Yeah, we talked about how EVOS Divine was just one of those squads, surprisingly, has not picked up a booyah for themselves just yet. We talked about how they were surprisingly struggling in here alongside teams like Twisted Minds, PE Sports, but EVOS rising up to the occasion this time around, showing that it's not really much of a problem. Just like RRQ, they were just warming up in week 1. Week 2 is where they're starting to climb the leaderboard little by little. And at the end of the day, the goal isn't that difficult for them to achieve, right? They just want to be in the top 12 by the end of this week. I feel like EVOS Divine will be able to do exactly that if they continue on with the spacing.
EVOS Divine, you're right, the spacing was indeed brilliant. Way to mitigate the threats and just basically make sure that any team who they are up against will not stand a chance. I love the way how they just took down Buriram Esports, dealing with that threat the moment it arrived in their vicinity. And after that, it was pretty easy pickings for EVOS Divine. Yeah, sure, Boom could have been problematic, but they dealt with it so easily.
Absolutely, man. And, you know, taking Poom out of the equation first, obviously there was no way they could have strategized this. So it was pure luck on the side of the players on the side of EVOS as to who they managed to take down first on the side of Onyx, right? Because Poom was making magic work for Onyx Esports from the very start of this day. And unfortunately, without their frontline firepower popping off, it just became a tad bit more difficult for them. The other factor that made it difficult for Onyx was the fact that they were too spread out in that final battle up against EVOS. They just couldn't find their radius, they couldn't find their flanks as well to reposition, and EVOS just in the right place, better spot, better positioning overall to walk away with a solid booyah for themselves. And yeah, it was a good play from Mikacha on that sneak away. Now this was that play where Wasana got sprayed down. You know, Getna didn't stand a chance at all. Moshi did manage to land on the roof, but there was just no recovery play at all from the side of Buriram.
I also just noticed in the replay right now that Gide accidentally blew himself up with his own grenade launcher. So that was an unforced error, which basically results in EVOS getting that free booyah. It would have been slightly more difficult if Gide was around because he also was popping off. But hey, if Onyx are making these errors unforced, if they send Boom out to die without any backup, if Gide blows himself up, then EVOS, they don't get 2 extra eliminations, but they will definitely get the booyah.
Yeah, 2 back-to-back games where we saw the player with the Mors really wreak havoc. This game, the same, right? Fires with the Mors, doing the exact same thing. Typical sniper build with the Raphael, Maro, Moko. You get to mark them, you get the extra damage with the distance, you get your silencer on your snipers as well, basically making you an extremely lethal, invisible sniper. You gotta love it out of a setup. And the rest of the players on the side of EVOS showing up just not super aggressive, just like the Booyah that Buriram walked away with, just slightly better. 3 extra eliminations compared to Buriram's Booyah on Purgatory.
Are we gonna get games like these all day long? Because these are not the most high elimination games that we have seen, but
True.
they are some of the most positioning heavy and the most strategically oriented Booyahs that we have seen.
Yeah,
I've not seen a lot of people use the Coda anymore. I mean, after the OB53 update, where most of the information-based agents got nerfed, it kinda is a breath of fresh air to see Coda in the mix once again, and he's using it along with the Beeson and Alvaro, so he can be the grenade of the team as well. You've got the Oscar, of course, in the hands of AimGod. He also did quite a lot of damage, 4 eliminations for him as well, getting up close and personal, and that life-saving time turner. That also cannot be discounted. 11 eliminations, not the most impressive game that we have seen from EVOS Divine. We've seen games where they just load up on eliminations even if they don't get the Booyah. But yes, they can finally put 1 Booyah up on the board.
Yeah, but this was a brilliant recovery game for the players on the side of Twisted Minds. Earlier on, they only walked away with 2 points from their lobby, but this time a total of 19 for themselves. You can say the same for Onyx, right? Onyx literally got blasted out of the lobby very, very early in the game after that unfortunate engagement with MBR. But in this game, they walked it away with that second spot, almost with the Booyah if it wasn't for EVOS Divine. And of course, Gade with that little bit of a boo-boo of the grenade launch. But of course, in the grand scheme of things, Buriram will still remain on that #1 spot after a back-to-back consistent play with the points. Nothing too massive, but just enough to keep them up on top. They'll have to play a recovery game on Bermuda if they would like to keep that #1 spot. But unfortunately, Bermuda has been the worst map for Buriram in the current season, very surprisingly.
So let's see if they can stay on the top, because they've got a nice 12-point buffer against EVOS and both Falcons. Both of them are tied up at 27 points each. So if Buriram can survive their worst map, I think they will walk out as the winners today. That being said, though, I am still very surprised to see Bigatron and MBR at the 6th and 7th spot. Same with Onyx and Twisted Minds. I mean, 2 of these teams had an amazing time in Purgatory and they had a terrible time in Solara, and vice versa. The teams that performed really well in the first map couldn't do that in the second one. So I guess the inconsistency bug bit them over here. Let's see if it continues biting them and pestering them in Bermuda as well.
And that's why we made the statement as to how this lobby in Southeast Asia is just unpredictable, right? Because you never know exactly who's going to get knocked out. First, you've got super good squads in here. Everyone's capable of making those rotations, finding the super crazy long shots off of that Kar 98, the AWMs, the M82Bs. And it's just difficult to tell. It's not like the teams are not being consistent. It's just that when you have got so many capable squads out there, it's really a toss of a coin as to see exactly who makes it down into that final circle. Even Bigatron by Vitality, I felt like their first game at Purgatory was a fantastic one. They walked away with just 2 points on Solara grips.
Yeah, so from 21 eliminations to 2 points overall, it's been a massive downfall. That being said, though, it's not just the teams who have been popping off every now and then. I feel like sometimes these individual players also make such a massive difference. Case an example over here, Pina from the previous game. Just solo surviving up until the 2nd spot, got his team so many points. But over here, though, in that fight against Buriram Esports, Pina was one of the first players to go down. And then Falcons just crumble like a pack of cards in a hurricane. And of course, you have to give credit to Moshi. He knew exactly where the vending machine is located. He knew exactly where the last member of Falcons will go. Pre-aims that spot, takes them out of the equation. So one guy, Pina, he could make such a big difference for his team in the first game. But if he dies first in the second game, Falcons basically come crumbling down. Same with Gade, right? I mean, yeah, sure, the first game, he did not really do much. We saw him get that Mag 7. He failed to land those jump shots, so that's why Onyx was wiped out over here in Purgatory. But he was making quite a lot of difference in Solara, and he was getting Onyx some cool eliminations until he blew himself up with the grenade launcher. So sometimes it's just that one player who can make a massive difference.
Yeah. it's a double-edged sword, right? You want to mess around with a grenade launcher. Sometimes a little bit of a clip on your own glue wall or a window could just mean a disaster of a result for your squad. Obviously, we knew exactly what Gade was looking for. It just wasn't a good day for him in terms of walking away with the booyah and giving his squad exactly what they needed, which was a ton of eliminations. Buriram on the first game, Evos Divine on the second game. Will we see one of these logos once again on Bermuda shortly, or will we see a brand new team that, going in sequence, going in the regular rhythm of Southeast Asia, a team that has not been popping off so far, suddenly walk away with the booyah? I'm talking about teams like maybe Vamos. I'm talking about teams like PE Sports, who just really haven't found the rhythm in terms of their action out there just yet.
I do agree. PE Sports, I expected a lot from them. And it is kind of weird to see them not being in the top 12 of the overall standing. So maybe they can make a comeback over here in Bermuda. It's not exactly their strongest map, but it's not like their Buriram on Bermuda, right? It's not like this is their worst map ever. So when it comes to Bermuda, I think Falcons are definitely a hard hitter, which is why I have also taken them as my predicted team for this map. They've got 2 booyahs on this map already, 49 eliminations, and historically they've always done well.
Yeah, absolutely. They have definitely done well on this map. Like you said, 2 booyahs so far. Massive eliminations, right? And obviously PE Sports is not too bad at all on this map. A single booyah to their name. Placement points wise, they are actually doing better than Falcons, just not in the booyah department. Eliminations is where they truly fall off in comparison to Falcons. That's why I picked them. I feel like it's their opportunity to catch up with Falcons in terms of their stats on Bermuda. Both you and I have picked the heaviest hitters, the biggest teams on this map. And I wonder if or not the rest of the Southeast Asian teams who are going to be playing up against these 2 Bermuda monsters will be able to upset us, upset our predictions, and just rise up to the top. In the grand scheme of things, if you don't look at the Bermuda performance specifically, PE Sports isn't doing too well. They're currently not even in the top 12.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I think you predicting them in this map is a bold choice. But if you have to do it, it has to be over here. It has to be in Bermuda. So this could be the map that will make or break PE Sports' run in the FFWS SEA 2026 fall. Of course, you cannot overlook the champions. Their bundle in the game is a testament to their skill and a reward for all their efforts. So make sure you check it out in the store as well. But for now, I want to see what's in store for us in Bermuda. I'm expecting a big clash between Bigatron and Falcons. They both are dropping near Observatory and Graveyard, very close to each other to initiate fights. Evos Divine close behind, spreading out across Bullseye and Shipyard. But I do not see any other drop clashes except for that in Peak. And even then, it is avoided. Twisted Minds just to make a quick little sharp turn away from Peak and go towards the mill instead.
And Bigatron by Vitality actually avoiding engagement with the Falcon players who dropped solid into Graveyard, and Falcons were keeping an eye on them. And good on Bigatron by Vitality for avoiding the early skirmish up against Falcons, who are pretty lethal in the early parts of the game. Regardless of what guns they pick up, they usually popping off. Vamos up against PE Sports. This should be a battle that PE should walk away with the victory on, but you can never tell exactly which version of the Malaysians you are going to get on any game day. Sometimes they pop off, sometimes they look absolutely nerfed. Now, one is going to be in a tough little spot here. 3v1 setup. Juan tagged up twice. Great double glue wall for the guy to make that rotation.
Yeah, I really thought he's gonna get taken down as he tries to cross the road. And that's why they ask you to look both ways before you cross the street, kids. You do not want to end up getting caught. DPP used, both the players spot each other. It's like staring at each other, staring daggers. But still, it's gonna be up to Badab somehow. He tries to make that flank work, but he gets discouraged because of the guy in the window shooting him down. Nero also almost loses his life, but it's the first person to fall. That's June. Can he be picked up? It's rather unlikely. Zuez going towards him, but Sichuan confirms that elimination. And the Axel, he was the one responsible for keeping Nero at bay, but now he's got bigger fish to fry. He's getting taken down by Bedep, and Vamos Esports, luckily they're right next to the vending machine, so they can buy June back, but it is still big problems for them.
Yeah, Zuez, the savior of the squad there on that last-minute revival. So even if it ends right here, right now for the squad, He still will stand a second chance on that recovery. Now Buriram spotting out EVOS as well as Esports Putrajaya. The early skirmish did see Esports Putrajaya pick up a quick point here. Aim got a sliver of health left on him as Buriram now goes in for the charge. Esports Putrajaya with the potential to flank around Buriram, punish Buriram, allowing EVOS to maybe walk away with the victory here. As I say that, Mikata finds one. Moshi down on the ground. It is Esports Putrajaya putting in the hurt onto Buriram, giving EVOS now a solid chance to take Buriram out of the lobby. But Moshi revived by Wasada, and that's going to be the insurance policy for Buriram for the time being.
Oh my god, Buriram have just flipped the script. Instant buyback onto Moshi. Helps him get, and Getna also gets that knock. Esports Putrajaya were leading by a mile, and now all of a sudden they've got their backs against the wall.
Oh
and
my
that's
lord.
what it's like to fight against Buriram Esports. You see, even EVOS Divine were trying to get a piece of the spy, but they will be promptly sent back.
Yeah.
You cannot mess with the world champions today. Buriram Esports recover from a dire situation.
That was just a fight where they knew their backs were up against the wall. There was nowhere to go. They had to take the fight. And because that one revive had already been brought in by Wasana, they just thought there's nothing we can lose in this battle. Let's just go all out. And looks like when Buriram goes all out, taking on two teams at the same time is no sweat for them whatsoever. And EVOS just did not want to deal with that situation. And Esports Putrajaya, they were smiling year to year when initially putting on the pressure onto Buriram, but they will get taken out of the lobby prematurely this time round. MPR up against Twisted Minds. Jump is going to get caught out, but he takes down the defenses only to allow Jump to catch him with a Mag 7. A unfortunate play there, but Fancy is going to be instantly revived by his team.
Joker holding his ground against the members of Twisted Minds right next to him. And this actually might just give P Esports a chance to get out of here. Their one player is still near the double balcony house, but he has not been able to get away yet. And as soon as I say that, Bidep takes to the skies, uses the mini launch pad to get away from here. But he will have to lick his wounds and find another vending machine because this one is inaccessible. MBR recover all their players back. Bidep almost made it across, but Rafaela has his number. Jump, on the other hand, takes down Bara, and that's a confirmation as well.
Oh my.
Hold on though, Jump will get his head blown off in return. Good trades from both Twisted Minds as well as MBR. Both these teams back at a 3v3, and Joker wants to make it a 3v4 by accident and vending machine, and he should be able to do so.
Joker's now on the approach. MBR, perfect play this time around. The best is going to get caught out, and a double team. Fancy with a flank around the left, and we'll get it with the charge buster. The best taken out of the equation there. Perfectly done by MBR. A solid play, an aggressive play. 9 eliminations in hand already. Now Secret WAG up against Magna. Lightning Zone called upon. Question is, by whom? Potentially by Secret WAG here. But I think it's a tad bit unfortunate because the Magna players are a little bit too far away. Didn't manage to see exactly who that was called out, the bolt maker, but Virus does take PLS1 out of the equation here, giving Magna a little bit of an advantage. As Alif makes his way back in, it looks like Magna will not have to... Okay, no, Magna still has to worry.
Yeah, Virus still hanging back near
nice
the
one.
vending machine, knowing that somebody will come in here to use it, but he just lets Secret WAG get away with that revive, and Virus doesn't really shoot at them. I thought he was staying back just to make sure nobody can use the vending machine. But it seems like Virus knows he's outnumbered over here, so he's better not gonna take that fight. He tries to make that crossing, and Tikoi has his number. Virus has no choice but to fight back. He's bleeding away to the zone, and there you go. Tikoi finally puts him out of his misery.
As Secret WAG said, I smell a rat. Sent out the UAV, got the information. Easy play there. Easy elimination. He should have just taken his chance and just tried to shoot at the Secret WAG players instead of just running away in that situation. P Esports up against Jump here. Twisted Mind. This is not their final player. They should be able to recover even though they lose Jump in this sequence. And Rafaela on the opposite side. P Esports literally chasing a free point towards the MBR players. There's nobody to revive here, so Jump was just looking to save himself. Rafaela will find C2. C2 takes Jump out of the equation. Bass brings him back in. Twisted Minds on that recovery once again. And now a full-blown battle between MBR and PE.
The Esports had to escape from the entire Cape Town region, and now there's no running back. Over here in Sentosa Island, LBT will finally go down, surrounded and overwhelmed by MBR.
Yeah.
And MBR have done pretty well for themselves this time, AJ. Look at that, 12 eliminations on them already.
I mean, MBR is just a different beast today. Onyx up against Falcons. Ooh, they're not going to be able to save Pina. Great play there by Crime. Now Mini Uzi looking for On Fire. Good glue wall by On Fire to protect himself. M590 in hand, but he just could not use it, could not do anything in that situation. Crime with a sliver of hell. Gets away in time. Limit could not punish, but the follow-up is solid there by Porpor. Where the hell is Porpor even? As he managed to find that angle to take the player out of the equation. Now Falcons clearly in the driver's seat once again on that battle. Bigatron by Vitality up against EVOS. A civil war for Indonesia.
Team God jumps that fence. Oh my god, that's a bold jump. But he's getting surrounded by Bigatron now. Trying to get away from the other side. Gets into the house, but clips his wings as soon as he makes that jump. The rest of EVOS Divine have promptly disengaged from this battle. They do not want to pick up a fight over here, so Bigatron are the winners for the time being.
EVOS Divine with Rasia's so-called retirement. There was some rumors flying around there. Coach Mane left the squad. It caused a little bit of friction, and I felt like Rasia was not too happy with that. Maybe there's something cooking in the background, but we'll have to wait for more info, man. The transfer windows are open. I don't know if or not the guy has got some sort of an agreement that he cannot play for another squad within a certain time period, but we'll have to wait and see exactly where Rasia pops up again, because I'm sure we have not seen the end of one of the craziest super snipers in the world that made his name on the EVOS brand, the one and only Rasia. And of course, he made his name on the brand, but he also brought that brand up to new heights through EWC.
Exactly. I mean, even though he's not playing, I see Rasia's name pop up in the chat so often. Clearly, everybody misses him, and clearly he's not ready to retire just yet. But Buriram Esports over here, while they're locking horns against Secret WAG are just holding back the forces of Buriram by balling off their entrances. How much longer will they keep on using this siege tactic against Buriram? Because Buriram are not going to leave from this spot, not anytime soon. It's just the second zone. They can tank this damage. Lightning Zone used, hoping to lure Buriram away from this region, but they're not gonna be bothered by just a little bit of lightning. Maybe a third party could finally discourage them from the situation, but nobody's going out of their way to pick up any piece of this fight. WAG, now they finally get outside the house. Hongam, he's gonna hold that window while the others chase the Buriram from around the fences. This is a pretty long drawn-out battle, and the first pick will be the one that determines what's gonna happen. PLS1 a little low. Tikoi also, after taking damage, disengages. It seems like any player who are on Secret WAG, as soon as they take a little bit of damage, they back off and heal and let a healthier player pick up that fight against Buriram. They just absolutely cannot afford to give away the first pick.
Yeah, the great wall of Secret WAG there. Buriram just unable to find a little bit of an entry into their compound. Now with EVOS right behind WAG, this probably might put them in a tough little spot. WAG trying to take those shots up against Buriram as they evacuate the compound, but they've got bigger trouble that they need to worry about. EVOS now quickly making their approach. Can they get there on time? Tikui right in front. Aim God. The shots are there. Aim God does manage to spray Nan7 out of the vehicle. And here comes PLS1 with the M82B. Shot is on point. PLS1 finds Coach Hill. Aim God takes Tikui out of the equation. And it's now Aim God with the Mag 10, but a sliver of health left on him. Wang Armor has got the advantage, and the Mag 7 to the back as Aim God tries to get away. EVOS thought they were the ones who had the ambush perfected, but it's Secret WAG showing them that it's just not going to be enough to stop them.
The perseverance is insane. Secret WAG repel away Buriram, they repel away the champions, and even when the third party comes knocking on their doors, they are able to promptly deal with anyone who wants to interfere. Of course, it was numbers advantage for the side of Secret WAG. EVOS Divine did not send their entire force into this fight, but they deal with all the invaders pretty well. Oh, poor Diamond. He is kind of trapped here, isn't he? Got 3 above the hill, 1 below. There's really no escaping, so Diamond will have to force his hand unless he's got some backup. Nope. Before he can even get the backup, June will put him down. Yuan now looking to change the tides of this battle as Vamos Esports are flipping the script against Twisted Minds. Nice shot by Axel. Takes down jump. Even Diamond bites the dust, and it's all up to the boss. He has been overwhelmed by Zues. Vamos Esports making quick work of this fight.
That was just a Diamond in a rough spot out there. Unfortunate for him. Jump did try to be the superhero in that situation to save his buddy, but just faltered. Unfortunately, it was just a little bit too late. Now Onyx dismantling Falcons, one player after the other. Limit now caught in a tight little spot. Putra, good dodge there with the M590. Calls for a little bit of a backup as well. It's a 2v1 up against a heavily barricaded Limit. Limit does manage to find a little bit of a breather there with a save from Porpor, but Poom is the secret on the side of Onyx. Poom puts down Porpor. The rest of the players on the side of Falcons will falter, taken out prematurely in this lobby. And I think I called it out perfectly fine. It was Falcons just popping off in week 1. In week 2, on the other hand, it's just not the best version of themselves, which is just classic Falcons.
Oh my god. How many people are gonna go down to the zone? Buriram Esports losing their lives to the blue. A couple of members of Onyx Esports also falling victim. So many players turning into a PvE game over here. It's not even a PvP anymore.
Oh my god!
Look at Zeus and Juan. Lovely triple elimination from Vamos Esports, dealing with the invaders so bloody well. And they rule this side of the hill.
Yeah, what's up with my manifestations today, man? I just said earlier on before we started off this game, teams like PE, teams like Vamos, who haven't been performing just yet, have the potential to rise up. And because that's just how Southeast Asia's lobbies have been all this while. But a big fight up against MBR. PE Sports manages to survive somehow, and it's MBR that bites the dust instead. This is turning out to be a crazy sequence of battle. If BTR and EWAS gets taken out, next it's all about the underdogs in this game 3.
I would love a replay. Rafaela just got 2 eliminations, 2 knocks with that sight. And yeah, sure, he wasn't able to survive the entire encounter, but that is still pretty impressive. Now as we head towards the end game, every team seems to have their position. Oh no, Kusil. He was trying to get inside the zone, but Makai's will find him. And the last player also taken down. That's the end of EVO's Divine.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving these big boys get taken down one after the other because it's all about the underdogs to rise up to the occasion. Problem is you still have a monster in Bigatron by Vitality out there. The Indonesians are going to be a big threat for the Booyah in this game number 3 at Bermuda. Vamos, PE, Magna need to find a solution for this. Problem is they don't know who sits where. Vamos up against Bigatron by Vitality could just be on the cards here as both teams need to make that rotation across the battlefield to find the circle.
Bigatron by Vitality and Vamos, both of them kinda outside the zone. They will need to head a little more downhill where PE Sports currently reside. Oh, but can Bigatron leave that L-shaped house? Vamos Esports is gonna make their life a little bit difficult while they try to get outside. It is quite a big gap to cross. So Bigatron might just end up using that mini launch pad. But even if they do so, they'll be landing right on top of PE Sports' heads.
Yeah.
And that is a very risky rotation to make. So let's see what is gonna happen when push comes to shove.
Push comes to shove. Bigatron by Vitality under heavy pressure. Magna looking at them. Vamos staring at them. Bigatron needs to move. The 2 Malaysian squads need to move as well. But they are all waiting to see what Bigatron does first. And Bigatron makes the decision to move straight towards Magna. Instead of deal with Vamos, this could have just been the better idea. Double Riptide Rhythm breaking down their defenses, but there's a boulder in the way, and Magna will survive that. Pulls out the time turner as well. No shots can reach them, but Bigatron getting closer and closer. Dix with the M590, cannot go in for the ambush just yet. Virus with the VSK knocks down Kyong. Here comes the flank. Ale finds Koja. A sliver of air that Sibang will not get picked up. It's all up to Dix and Koja right now. Outside the circle. Ale finds Sibang. Koja out, and it looks like Bigatron by Vitality with one final survivor won't survive Magna and Vamos.
Magna Esports hold off against the Bigatron. These guys have dealt with some of the biggest teams, but PE Esports capitalize on that opportunity. Look at Sichuan and Nero raining down the bullets and confirming all their eliminations. It's up to Virus in a nearly impossible 1v4. And PE Esports finally get their booyah. They've been hanging back at the bottom of the table, but this is their chance to finally get up inside that top 12.
Amen. This is exactly why I thought PE Sports was going to rise up to the occasion. It's a map they know like the back of their hands, and if they are going to pop off, if they're going to get to the top at any map, this was going to be that one map, and PE Sports managed the situations extremely well, especially up against MBR. You said Rafaela took that double score beautifully, but they just could not sustain their battle. And PE managed to survive all the way to the end, and the rotations were very sharp as well, right? Staying away from the Indonesian squad, staying away from the Malaysians as well. On the opposite side of the battlefield with a very early rotation, kept them alive, kept them out of the thick action before the final battle sequence that gifted them the booyah. This was perfect for Vietnam. This is exactly what they need to climb up the leaderboard. We did say that PE Sports started off the day not even in the top 12, but I'm very sure with this game, it will be able to climb into a better spot overall.
And PE Sports, you also have to commend their patience, even though that fight between Bigatron and if I'm not wrong, Magna Esports Club was very lucrative to get into, even though they were very tempted to poke their noses into that fight and get a couple of eliminations. PE Sports hold their ground, they do not overextend. And Vamos Esports actually capitalized on that distraction. While Bigatron and Magna Esports Club were fighting each other, Vamos tried to make a run directly into the zone, and PE Sports deal with them really well with just their utilities. And you have to give credit to Vamos Esports as well. I mean, this fight against Secret WAG is absolutely stunning. And then to realize that Bigatron and Magna Esports Clubs are busy fighting, so Vamos managed to avoid that. And on paper, that's a brilliant rotation. They just did not account for PE Sports to be so vigilant and so aware about every single movement.
Yeah, I mean, PE kind of just set out that final battle, but I felt like the highlight of that game was how the players on the side of Magna managed to survive the onslaught that Bigatron tried to unleash on them. We'll come back to the conversation in a little bit. The MVP gets the spotlight again. 3 games in a row, it's all about the snipers, right? Earlier on, it was the Moss. This time, it's the Skylar. Typical sniper build once again with the Maro, Moko, as well as Raphael. VSK, you guys know exactly what the setup does for you. But the Riptide Rhythms, I feel like, has been somehow beefed up out there. The time to take down those glue walls with a double Riptide Rhythm shot seems so effective at this point of time, and that's what's making teams out there who run this double sniper setup so effective in these final battle sequences. But it's again not a very heavy number with the eliminations as a team picks up another booyah.
Ooh, take a look at these numbers. Even contribution from everybody north of 1,000 damage. I mean, so far we've seen games where most of the team that win the booyah are not having that many eliminations, but we've also seen games where players have sometimes less than 1,000 damage. At least that doesn't happen around this time. You've got Badep as well as Nero both contributing 1,000 damage each. Plenty of eliminations from their end as well. LBT with those nades were able to completely destroy the invading members of Vamos Esports. And Sichuan, what do I even say about this guy? He's been able to land some close-range sniper shots as well, which basically defy the mechanics of this game. Insane mechanics from him. Ooh, I also see that Badep is using Zane. Very powerful in those close-range encounters. And alongside that, you've got Nero on Cassie. So that's some crazy survivability on the members of PE Sports.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like them bringing in the Zane is just a little bit of a different flavor. It's not a double sniper setup like we expected, but they were running double snipers in their squad. It's just when it comes to the active and passive skills, they were not focusing on that Morse at all, which kind of gives them a little bit more viability on the front line. So you see the mentality of PE Sports, right? They're not looking to play fishing from these long ranges. They're just looking to keep the fights very, very close to their houses. And when they do need to play a little bit of the long range, they just depend on C21 to get the job done. But a majority of the time, I felt like the PE Sports play was just purely having C21 watch the backs of the 3 rushers who were just on the front lines and break down any of those glue walls with the double Riptide Rhythm whenever the frontliners need them. And that's the setup that led PE Sports to victory, especially in that final battle sequence as well. But PE Sports, though, through all of their effort, does not rise up to the top. Another underdog that we talked about at the start of this match, Vamos, they rise up to the top this time round. 16 eliminations. I did ask, which version of Vamos are we going to get in this game? They have answered, you're going to get the kind of Vamos that was running a little rampant out there at one point at the EWC stage as well, where they hit the double booyah. This is a solid play from them. They need more of this, though, if they want to crawl out of the bottom 6.
Exactly. It's a good game for both the Malaysian squads because Vamos Esports and Magna Esports Club were both struggling in the overall point standings before this particular game. But now, with such great standings, I'm sure they must have made some progress. Let's see how many spots they managed to climb up in the standings for today. Oh, not a lot. Vamos Esports get up inside the top 5 with 37 points, but Magna Esports Club still at the bottom with only 22.
How is Buriram hanging on to the number 1 spot? But of course, PE has managed to get closer and closer to them already after this beautiful booyah that they picked up. Buriram only walked away with 10 points in this game, which kind of indicates to me that you can expect a explosive run from Buriram on either Kalahari or Nextera. More Nextera compared to Kalahari. I don't think they're the most lethal team there. Nextera, on the other hand, I think Buriram is a proven team that can find big points. But today, in all 3 of our games, the teams that have been walking away with the booyah have not walked away with massive eliminations. And I feel like that's just giving respect to the other teams that are in here in these lobbies, right? I mean, Southeast Asia, again, proving to be a very difficult lobby to conquer.
Exactly, and the trend continues over here. The team that wins the Booyah doesn't have that many eliminations, but somehow they often also don't end up being the team with the most number of points. A team which goes ham right from the beginning has often overtaken the Booyah winners. It's happened in the first and the third map, with the sole exception being the second one, but it was still a pretty close thing, and I think you can still say that the teams who are trending more towards these eliminations are walking away with more points consistently. However, the teams that often win the Booyah end up getting eliminated quite soon later on. So I don't know if the Booyah curse is activated today, but it definitely seems to be the case over here.
Yeah, just to clarify, the Booyah curse is permanently activated all day, every day, any day we jump on into a Free Fire competition, regardless of region, okay? It is a problem everywhere. But of course, we've got the interview segment coming up for you guys in a little bit as well. We're not too sure exactly who that's going to be with, but regardless of whoever it is with, we're pretty sure you're going to be enjoying the questions. But of course, again, this has been a fantastic day. This is obviously going to be the last one for me, but I get to say goodbye to you guys right after the interview, okay? So you guys hang on. We will be right back with you guys in a little bit. Later on, we'll welcome Husky as well. So really, don't go anywhere. Crips and I will be back with you in a second.
Hello, it's me again, Pink, and right now we're here with
Falcon Limit ครับ
Falcon Limit, yay! Okay, so after those 3 games, you have like a rough start today, but like you really bounce back, like come back today. So what happened? What changed your strategy or like your mindset playing today?
โอเคครับเมื่อวานทำผลงานได้ไม่ค่อยดีหนักก็คือจบที่ 9 มี 63 คะแนนแต่วันนี้เริ่มมา 3 เกมแรกทำได้ดีเลยอยากรู้ว่ามันมีรูปแบบการเล่นที่เปลี่ยนไปยังไงบ้างครับ
ก็ไม่ได้เปลี่ยนรูปแบบการเล่นมากครับก็ยังเป็นเล่นสไตล์เดิมแต่ว่าเหมือนไม่ก็อยากทำให้เต็มที่ในทุกๆวันนะแต่ว่าอยากเก็บแผนไว้เล่นสำหรับสัปดาห์ที่ 3 มากกว่า
อยากเก็บแผนไว้เล่น
I see. So basically, we didn't change the plan much, but like we kind of like try to play our best as always, and to add up more, like we trying to like keep our plan for the final round too. Okay, so for the next question, you got taken out by Onyx before, like the fellow team in the Clash Sea King. So how would you evaluate Onyx Poom?
โอเคก็คืออย่างเกมเนี่ยที่โดน Onyx ตกตอนที่โซน 4 เนาะก็คือวงที่ 4 อยากรู้ว่ามีอะไรจะเมนชั่นถึงภูมิไหมวิธีการเล่นของภูมิเป็นยังไงบ้าง
ก็เป็นวิธีการเล่นที่คล้ายๆของทีมเหมือนทีมเราเลยก็ไม่มีอะไรมากครับเหมือนพลาดกันด้วยเกมนั้นพลาดแล้วก็อีก 3 เกมเจอกันครับ
Okay, so basically their playstyle is kind of like similar to us. So the moments that we got taken out by them is just a mistake. Let's see the other 3 games. Okay, so for the last question, who is your biggest threat or like you see as a stronger contender, and do you have like any message for them?
โอเคคิดว่าใครเป็นคู่แข่งที่แข็งแกร่งที่สุดของทีม Falcon แล้วก็มีอะไรอยากจะบอกคู่แข่งทีมนั้นไหมครับ
ก็คู่แข่งที่น่ากลัวสำหรับทีมผมก็น่าจะเป็นตัวพวกเราเองในสัปดาห์ที่1ครับก็อยากจะก้าวผ่านสัปดาห์ที่1ให้ได้
Oh, okay, I see the confidence there. So basically, our stronger contender basically could be us in the first week. We really want to like overcome us like in the first week. We want to do better. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you, Falcon Limit, and see you guys again after the break. Bye bye.
Those are some hard-hitting words. He doesn't have any competition except for himself. The only people that they're competing against is their previous versions, and they just want to keep on improving. And that's the attitude that Falcons always carry. Despite them being on the top of the table, they're still not satisfied. They want to do better than themselves because they believe that nobody else can keep up with them. I wish I had that kind of confidence.
I'm sure you have more than that kind of confidence, but I think we just found ourselves a brand new host, a permanent host for Thailand. So, hi Pink, welcome to the broadcast. So, I think this is obviously going to be a great setup for Falcons. They could not go all the way, like what they did in that week 1, but honestly, I expected that, right? And I don't feel like they are failing. I feel like they're just not going all out because obviously they don't really want to show off a lot of their rotations. There's no use flexing on a bunch of squads that you've already crushed in week 1. And no matter what they do, catching up with you is going to be close to impossible unless you keep failing. And these guys are not even failing. They're just walking it. They're just strolling in the park, still picking up some solid points to keep the distance at a very healthy position so that they don't get caught up with. So I felt like Falcons are, just kind of faking their so-called slower run here in the second week. But either way, I feel like the rest of the teams need to make good use of this slower pacing that Falcons are bringing out here on week number 2 to not catch up to them, but at least climb up the leaderboard quite a little bit, especially those who are in the bottom 6.
Yeah, so while Falcons are casually strolling around in a park, everybody else is sprinting at full speed. And it's not like just because they are chilling out, the other squads will also do the same. Everybody will probably want to go and fire on all their cylinders. So let's see whether this action continues in such a heated fashion in the second half of the day as well or not. We will find out all of that after a tiny break. Do not go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back with more high-octane Free Fire Max action.
Absolutely. Last game for me. Husky will be with you guys in a bit with Crips.
After total domination of Thailand in week 1, Indonesia rose up in this week 2 opening day through Abe that won the Rusher Battle Challenge. Let's see how Abe smashes all the enemy.
But there is going to be the flash freeze, which will do a little bit of chip damage there to be worried about. But there is no worry as Abai and Rand step in, put Makna out of their misery.
Mains against 3 players of MBR, but they're not done just yet. Abai on the roll to being the best rusher on the Ego Challenge right now, and RRQ still a 4-man strong gets that booyah.
Ya buat Rasar di luar sana lah ya. Ego gue lebih tinggi daripada kalian, bro.
3 regions, 1 challenge for 1 spot to stand on the high ground, to stand on the highest rank.
Kita bakal lebih rapi aja sih mainnya besok, karena lawannya juga kan bukan sembarangan kan besok kan. Banyak-banyak tim yang jago lah.
He is making problems for Distant Minds, and then Onyx Olympus charge in, and Kasil ends up going and taking down the players, bringing it almost to a 1v2 situation. But
Jangan galak-galak lah, bagi-bagi poin.
But Lua, knowing that there is no chance for the Falcons, the number is not in their favor. It is down to a 2v3 situation, but Pina makes it a 2v2.
ไม่ได้วางแผนอะไรไปเลยครับจริงๆเลยก็คือหวังแค่เข้าท็อป 12 เพื่อไปเล่นในวีคที่ 3 เท่านั้นครับเพราะว่าตอนนี้คะแนนผมคิดว่าน่าจะติดท็อป 12 เป็นที่เรียบร้อยแล้วครับในการเล่นวีคที่ 3 ก็คืออยากเข้ารอบชิงให้ได้เร็วๆที่สุดครับก็คืออยากเข้าวันแรกเลยของวีคที่ 3 แต่พรุ่งนี้ก็จะเต็มที่ที่สุดครับไม่คิดว่าจะแพ้ทีมที่ได้แชมป์เหมือนกันครับ
But on fire with the head strike, Vikui taken down already with an instant pickup and the electrotherapy. Gets Falcon down on the ground. W80 just needs 1 more shot to connect, and it's Vikui that pulls the double. with 17 eliminations strong.
Để có một câu miêu tả về đội hình của mình về mùa giải sắp tới thì đó chính là người thành công có lối đi riêng. Đối với mình, ứng cử viên số 1 là khu vực Thái Lan, bởi vì họ bắt kịp rất nhanh với cái meta 2 tỷ hiện tại.
They do have the M79. Use it! Nah, they perished before they could. And now put it up with the numbers advantage. It's a 4v2. LPT, can you pull another snow like body slam? Mochi says, don't you even dream. C1 down, get now 5 LPT and Buriram.
คิดว่าเป็นทีมไทยแล้วกันครับ เพราะว่าเก่งทุกทีมครับทีมเพิ่งเข้ามาจากเวียดนามแล้วกันครับ ทีม VN ครับ เพราะว่าอยากลองมือครับออนิกแล้วกันครับ เพราะว่าเขาไม่ได้เข้าไปใน Esports ครับทีมซีเค็ดแล้วกันครับ
Individual play might be perfect for the highlight, but team play is one thing that delivers them to victory. Who will dominate the highest rank challenge?
Is in trouble. Wow. Saves him from the drop. And does he want to lay it out on top of the roof, or does he want to...
Fall has arrived, and FFWS SEA 2026 Fall is officially underway. Here's a look back at the standout performances from week 1 of the tournament. AGAL came out strong on day 1, securing 100.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, time to come in closer for this action. We are back with Free Fire World Series Southeast Asia 2026 Fall. You guys are watching the second day of the second week of the knockout stage. We are done with 3 games, and joining me for the remaining half of the day is gonna be Husky.
Yeah, we have had such a explosive first half of day 2 of week 2, and I'm getting pretty excited because some of the teams are really stepping up. When you look at sort of the cut-off point right now is basically GOW, who is holding the 12th spot, and they are starting to pull ahead. And that's just based off of yesterday's performance, right? GOW isn't even playing today, which means that the teams that want to catch up, they have 3 more rounds to make it right, especially the teams on Group C, because they played yesterday and today is their last chance in doing so.
Exactly. All the teams in Group C will have to work extra hard to build up as much of a buffer as possible, because they will not be able to defend their positions today. And that is especially true for GOW, because you're right. I mean, even though they're not playing today, they probably have a decent enough buffer already. I mean, they were at 197 points yesterday. They should be able to climb higher tomorrow. That is assuming the other teams don't outpace them already. But for other teams, especially teams like Onyx, they do not have a lot of opportunities left. Just 3 more games left between them and their play dates coming to an end. So they will have to build as much of a buffer as possible.
Yeah, and Onyx so far, they have been quite in the middle of the pack. They're definitely not the outstanding teams, but I also believe that they have done just enough to squeeze into top 12, which is the main objective of this second week. You just want to be in top 12 when tomorrow concludes, so that you get to call dibs to play first in phase number 2. Because the longer the bottom, the lower you are on the leaderboard, the later you get to play and the lesser the chances are of you qualifying to the grand finals. But we got to remind you something important is that we have a transfer window that is ongoing right now, and it only lasts until tomorrow, which means that for the teams that need some emergency aid, that feels like they need to make some transfer during this weekend, they got to do it by tomorrow, or the window is forever closed before week 2. phase 2. Sorry.
Yes, so yeah, I mean, whatever transfers need to happen now. And I think in the next week, when we go into the phase 2 of the tournament, you guys will be in for some really cool surprises. A lot of players have been asking for Russia back. I don't know if he will be back, but I'm pretty sure there will be some of the other surprises that are in store for us. Right now, though, I hope that these teams can avoid any nasty surprises, especially teams like MBR, teams like Twisted Minds. They only have 3 games remaining until their play days come to an end, so they will have to build that buffer and get inside the top 12. And of course, teams like EVOS Divine as well as Falcons will be playing their last few games today, but they don't need to worry. They are clearly in a good spot, and I don't know if Falcons will be able to continue staying on top by the time we are done with the games tomorrow, but it seems like they've been having a good time today, so they should be able to build that buffer up much, much better.
Yeah, especially for MBR, this is a team that I have been really fixated on ever since their debut in the regional circuit, because they've been doing quite well, honestly, right? Last we checked in on their placement on the overall ranking, they're actually in the top 12 and quite comfortably as well. But do remember, we also have the daily challenge. This time it's the clash of the Southeast Asia Kings, and Thailand, of course, are leading the pack, led by BRU, followed by Indonesia and Vietnam, Onyx, Olympus, and Secret WAG respectively, and then we have Falcons coming in 4th. And of course, the winner gets to walk away with pride by the end of the day, and BRU, they definitely have found their stride.
Yeah, BRU have been doing really well today, and they've not really had exactly the most high-hitting games, the most high elimination games, but Magna Esports Club have been doing better as well. You know, they were considerably low on the points, so maybe this substitution can help them out. They are getting rid of Getbu for this game and bringing in Jans once more, and Jans, while he has been a pretty good player, he still has a long way to go. As of now, Magna Esports Club are still at the bottom of the scoreboard, and they have to climb up really, really quickly.
Yep. And the most important thing whenever we talk about Kalahari are the Indonesians. But in this case, Falcons actually have the best record, just slightly edging out RRQ Kazu by a tiny bit. I believe 8 points difference is the name of the game. And today, RRQs won't be playing, so we get the rest of the Indonesian teams, barring the Kings of Kings, which makes it pretty interesting, because I want to see if one of the Indonesian team can sort of, come out on top on Kalahari, especially for BTR, because I think Bigatron by Vitality has been quite the solid team. They really had one of the best runs last year in Riyadh on the EWC 25 stage, and every now and then we see moments of brilliance from these boys in red, the red robots. Let's see if they can do it again on Kalahari.
Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's jump into the deserty dunes of Kalahari. I really want some fast chases. Last time I casted a game of Kalahari in this tournament, we got to see battles all across the northern periphery. We got to see battles in Shrines, Old Hampton, teams just running, desperately trying to save their skin. I want to see if that happens once more. Keep in mind though, ladies and gentlemen, that none of these teams will go for instant drop clashes, but within the first minute they will leave their particular POIs and try to get in some action. And this is especially true for teams like Falcon as well as Vamos Esports. They have had a history of clashing against each other in confinement. However, this time Falcon go towards just Bayfront instead, not going towards confinement. Esports and Vamos, they're fighting against each other in confinement instead of Falcons. Alright then, I like this.
There's always been quite the trend every now and then that a Malaysian team will somehow, some way find themselves in a tussle with Esports in the early game. And it has been Magna, and sometimes it's Vamos, but I always like it because Esports, they love these kind of challenge. Early game fights have always been their thing, but Vamos is a team that sometimes gets into the dice roll mentality where they are willing to take these bets. Let's see if this time they're going to come out on top as the winners.
Yeah, I hope they roll a nat 20. If they do like rolling the dice, if they do like taking these kind of gamblish fights, I hope that the dice rolls in their favor. June walks right inside that door, but he gets that glue wall up, hoping to isolate those fights. Not gonna happen. Breaks LPT's ankles by jumping around the other side and gets that confirmation as well. Wamos off to a flying start. They know that the remaining members of Esports are all huddled inside that same tiny room, but they can't seem to find a way inside just yet. They better find their way in quickly, otherwise Onyx Esports will be able to walk away with a bunch of other eliminations and cause some trouble.
The Onyx Olympus, they're gonna be waiting for the perfect opportunity to come in, and Zuez, he's looking for his own as well, finds the moment on an arrow. And still, Team Vamos doing an exceptional job at surviving and even finds a couple of knocks onto Onyx Olympus, who decides to butt in, but it's not their business here. And Jun will send that message. A very strong one indeed. 4 points for Vamos from the get-go, and confinement is theirs.
Yeah, and Onyx Esports, after losing a couple of their members, have instantly fallen back. Boom will promptly buy his teammates back, but yeah, Onyx Esports did not want to take too much of a risk by committing their entire force to this battle. But while Vamos Esports are dealing with Onyx, it gives B Esports a chance to get away as well. And look at them, they just bought their teammates back as well.
This is gonna give Team Vamos quite the start, because after confinement, usually the most straightforward rotation is you beeline towards command post, but with BRU in the lobby, command post is always going to be their stronghold. Whereas for Evil's Divine, they're gonna book it out of there. Basically split in half. Fires will be left on top of the mountain around shrines. The BTR should be able to pick him off, as Evil's Divine will scramble into the wild, but they've already gotten the members out of here. And let's see how much damage Faiz can deal. Faiz a knock on the Zebang, but needs a confirmation that it's not going to be arriving anytime soon. Kyung is already there right in front of him, but Zebang actually bled out. I think Faiz might have the Raphael with him. That's going to be a consolation prize for Evils.
Yeah, at least they avenge their fallen teammate. Zebang bought back by Koja. So it's a 1-for-1 trade when it comes to both these teams. But I was expecting a heavier battle over here in Shrines. Last time I casted a game of Kalahari, Shrines and Oldhampton were littered with dead bodies. And there were so many teams just trying to escape from one team, only to run into Bigotron once again. This time, however, Buriram Esports, you said that they often like dropping in command post, but they also like rotating out of command post pretty quickly. This time they get towards the sub, get a couple of eliminations for themselves, and instantly repel away whichever team was over here.
It was Esports Putrajaya, which is quite interesting because they actually had control of Refinery, which now has been taken over by MBR. So I think the rest of EP actually scattered into the win, which is unfortunate that they had to run into BRU at the sub, who is still making that rotation. So a good chance that BRU might be booking it for the center. Dynaucleus used early on by Jump. It's going to spot out 3 members of MBR on Refinery, and that confirms that Rafaela is the only member that is not with his team, and Jump's gonna go in there for the easy collection. Nothing much that MBR can do.
Yeah, you get isolated, you get exterminated. Rafaela was kinda away from his team, so that's why Twisted Mind just try to get that elimination onto him, knowing that he will not have any backup. But he jumps into the car and gets away from them easily. So, no cigar for them just yet. Meanwhile, back in Bayfront, you've got Falcons fighting off against Putra, who once again finds himself on the receiving end of Limit X7's Strogon.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Limit X7, I thought it was a trade, but for Onyx, they also aren't really playing together as a full squad. You can see that there's another Onyx member that is out in the wild.
Yeah.
But our eyes now fixed onto Team Vamos, who actually have BTR right in front of them, and Vamos taking the safe route, the confines of their compound, whereas for BTR, a lot more open space to work with, but that also means that they have no interest in taking the fight.
Yeah, Bigotron Esports disengaged from that one. They got a couple of free eliminations handed to them in Shrines, so they're gonna use that UAV back again, checking if anyone has rotated in from the north. Oh my god, boom. Again, you're alone? Onyx lost one of their members against Twisted Minds, and now, okay, Gede at least manages to bring Putra and Crime back, but Onyx have been losing members left, right, and center by splitting up too much. Mark My Sports Club also bite the dust. They're the first team to go out of this fight, but Boom is kinda trapped over here. Lada spraying him down, Ryu from above hoping to isolate him, and there's no escape.
That is particularly odd for Onyx. Axel also picked up Crime off screen, so the Malaysian team is finding members of Onyx Olympus left, right, and center, and Gede, yeah, he's out.
No!
So weird that Onyx Olympus play Kalahari in this manner, right? Like, we know that Poom, or known as One More back then, we say there's a lot of weight on his shoulders. He's representing Thailand as an import, first ever import in an Indonesian team, but being spread out like that on Kalahari is a death sentence, and Onyx Olympus pays for it. Whereas for Secret WAG, now they gain their 5th point and a bit of possession near the western side of Refinery.
Yeah. Onyx Olympus basically acting like a public charity office over here, distributing points to several teams. Not only offering them 1v1s, which are easily convertible. But they're so far apart that Onyx Olympus basically cannot help each other out at all. And I guess I can say the same for P Esports as well, because they just got a couple of their team members back. 2 of them in the maze, while the other 2 members of P Esports very far away from each other, leaving them absolutely nothing to provide backup. But speaking of backup, it's the boss. He's tied in with his teammate with that electrotherapy, and he's trying to win the fight against Bicatron. Nice shot by Koja, but instantly the boss avenges him. Oh, Koja, once again, lovely shot onto Exposi. He might just be able to turn the tides of this battle over here, unless Jump has something to say about it. He's booking it for the vending machine, but it's being capped by Kyong.
Good stuff there for BTR, really covering all of the point of interest there. But even for Falcons, they actually are running into a bit of a roadblock, and that roadblock comes in an uncanny form of Team Vamos. On Fire get picked back up. Limit now is going to face some challenge. Around the corner, Limit trying to prone and heal, but Zeus hits him with the pan and will fry him for the 8th point of Team Vamos. They are on a roll at command post here, at confinement, where they started. Team Falcons, they still refuse to surrender, but I think Team Vamos have the chance to overpower them. Zeus has plenty of information. Riptide Rhythm come in. Pina exposed. Axel basically misdirecting the members of Falcons.
Yeah, and he's going for a massive flank on the other side, but unfortunately Falcons also have the same idea. On Fire makes it to the vending machine even though Zeus was guarding it, so he can get the res once again. Yes, On Fire will eventually go down to Zeus, but he's done his job. So Falcons back at 3 members. That being said though, it's still advantage for Vamos Esports, but the moment I say that, Pina equalizes the situation, gets the knock onto Zeus. Porpor is able to once again buy On Fire back, and now it's Falcons who've got the numbers advantage. Axel trying to force that SMG battle against Pina, but Pina's got superior movement, not for long, as Axel finally gets the better of him.
Yeah. Again, just have the Rafaela with him, so any knocks caused by the Axel is going to cause some heavy bleeding there. Man, Falcons, I thought that they would cut their losses, and I think they have to learn it the hard way. Vamos now having 10 points, and Secret WAG sitting at 7. The launchpad to rotate. They go straight, and they're going to run into BTR, so that's going to be the opposite way of Refinery, which they did scan out with the binoculars, just southeast of the maze, whereas for BRU, they're going to be under some pressure from Esports Putrajaya with Ryu leading the charge. Raja with the nade cooked up. The bounce, not good enough, thanks to the glue wall put out by BRU. But the retirement from behind actually takes it out. Kenshin catching Asana on the wayside.
Mikasa now coming in to finish off what Kenshin started. Raja diving in with that Max 7, getting both Ketna as well as Wasana. They've dealt with the BRU threat for the time being, and this could finally be Esports Putrajaya rising up to the occasion. They did need those points quite desperately, and this could finally be the beginning of the comeback. Both the Malaysian teams desperately needed those points, Makta Esports Club as well as Esports Putrajaya. And right now, EP is having a slightly better time. Vamos Esports though have sent 2 of their members ahead in this car, with June and the Axel crossing on foot. That's easy pickings for Pina.
Wait a minute, watch your back, June! Not able to escape On Fire, unfortunately. Can Axel find a way to build his teammates up? That's impossible. Pina down to 18, and the Axel actually getting shot at by On Fire as well. Always reliable from the long range. Limit gets brought back by Porpor. And Vamos, for the first time in a long time this game, is going to be on the back foot.
Vamos Esports, it seems like they can recover regardless, because even though they lose a couple of players to Falcons, they take down a member of MBR. So they just pass on that violence to someone else. And Vamos Esports, they're going back outside the zone. Zeus probably going towards the Bayfront vending machine, hoping to get the res onto his teammates, but it's being guarded. Porpor gets the knock onto Axel, and now Vamos Esports are just turning On Fire into a 1v2 situation. They're forcing this battle against him, and they're actually winning it as well. Juan finally gets that knock. Porpor does get the revenge, takes down June as well as Juan. Lovely confirmation by Falcons, and it's all up to Zeus. Can he get the res onto Juan before anyone else comes in to ruin his day? Yes, it seems like he can. Vamos Esports survived that encounter against Falcons, and there's a vending machine right around the corner.
Starting to sustain some heavy damage and only has enough coins to bring the Axel back, but now they gotta take a chill pill. 14 points is great, but you also need some placement points, just like how you guys probably need the Buriram Champion bundle, which is coming soon in the store. It looks incredibly cool, comes with customized design cosmetics as the game dev, the design team work with BRU players to get it out. and it looks fantastic.
It does look fantastic. It's gonna look fantastic if you use it and play as well. Oh, hold on though. Esports Putrajaya taking shots against Falcons. Do they not know that Buriram is also right in the vicinity? So they're taking some long-range shots. And this will also make Buriram Esports a little bit aware about the potential threat on the horizon. Esports Putrajaya now looking to get inside the zone. It's not that difficult of a crossing, especially when Buriram is right around the corner. That being said though, the zone is also quite close to command post, so these teams will probably have to leave last. They will be able to stay in these compounds for just a little bit longer. And oh my lord, Falcons go out. Limit X7 succumbs to the blue zone.
Very rough game for Falcons. Malaysian teams were their undoing. Deeks finds a good one on the Kenshin. Route to the window. Juan blast Raja in the face. That's not part of the plan if you're EP. Where did Team Vamos come from? As EP now have plenty of threats to deal with. Jun through the glue wall. They're not making it easy. Ryu gets taken down. And Juan is the one that gets that knockdown. Team Vamos continuously trying to blitz through whoever they see. That is Kenshin. Taken up by Suez from the corner. What was that? Suez with 7 and Vamos with 18 eliminations.
And I was just saying that Esports Putrajaya were about to have a good game, but they get shut down by Vamos Esports promptly. Twisted Minds doing the same with Buriram Esports, already taking down Getna and Wasana. It's all up to just one player now to get away from this spot. Oh, Joanna trying to go around the other side of this door. He's really hoping that he can keep these two members of Twisted Minds locked in here, because there is an insurance policy from Buriram Esports. While Joanna is right here around the corner, another member of Buriram somewhere else might just have an opportunity to go for the revive. But there's very few vending machines available in the zone right now, so Joanna might just have to play his own life right now. Especially now that I see that his teammate is not that far away.
Edge of the circle, so they get to gatekeep both BRU and Twisted Minds. But for Evil's Divine, up against some of the juniors from the same region is MBR, who have been silent for majority of the game. They started off at Refinery, rotated outwards, and now are back to where they started. Let's see if MBR Superstar can step up to the occasion again, especially against a team who has quite the track record on the world stage. We've been drooling over Fanteezy and how much he has shown in the little time he has played in this league so far. But he has always been the consistent pillar of MBR. And Rafaela, he's about to make a difference here, but unfortunately doesn't find any info.
Yeah, he could have had some lovely angles onto Eva's Divine down there, but there's bigger problems. There is another team right on top of them. Hold on though, Buriram Esports go down. That is a rather early exit for the 3-time world champs. But MBR also lose a player, even though they thought they were safe at the bottom of this hill. Take a look at that. Secret WAG taking the highest possible points against Bikitron. Nan and PLS1 both playing in tandem. Tikoi delivering that death blow against Koja. Nan spraying down Kyong. Secret WAG are winning this battle against Bikitron. And it's just one player on the high ground that Bikitron is using as their last lifeline. Deeks manages to get towards the vending machine room and reses Koja, but that's all there is to Bikitron. Just these two.
If you look at the radar right now, one team is missing, and that's Team Vamos, because they've gotten the best possible spot in this final zone. The high ground is actually a detriment to the teams. They are there, especially for Rafaela. When he repositioned, he got sniped by Juan from 10 miles away, and that's gonna cost MBR as they are now down to 3 members. Rezivo's Divine, they're gonna go in for the kill. And they might have a very good chance in doing so. Team Vamos can let this happen on the wayside, because this is theirs to lose, where everyone else is just trying to fight for scraps. Evos with the rotation and finds themselves being shot at by PE Esports, who have a couple of containers to use as cover.
Yeah, PE Esports relatively safe, only for a few moments though. Secret WAG dropping right on top of their heads, but PE Esports deal with that threat very promptly. Bikitron by Vitality also succumb under the pressure. They only had 2 players remaining anyway. Evos Divine, look at that double elimination from Ghostel. That Charge Buster doing God's work over here to keep Evos Divine alive. And he continues to plunder onto Vamos Esports as well. Vamos thought they had the advantage. They thought that they could go in for the full send right now, but Evos keeps them humble.
Nasty shot there from Kochu, the one tap, forcing Vamos to slow down. And guess what? PE Sports now have the chance to go for back-to-back booyah here. A big name!
Oh my lord!
June decimates the ranks of Evil's Divine. Suez through the glue wall, looks for LBT, but Nero has a grenade launcher in hand. Juwan needs to go big right now. It's him and Suez, who have been a dynamic duo the entire game for Team Vamos. Can they make the run happen? Vamos pull through 27, big one here. A record in a single game in this 4 seasons so far. 27 elims, a booyah, 39 points for the Malaysian reps. And what have we just witnessed here? Because this is something special, man, Cribs.
I swear. It was just an hour ago where IJ asked the question, what version of Vamos Esports will we get today? Will we get the version that bends over, or will we get the version that destroys the lobby? And while they did pretty well in the previous game as well, I did not think that they would go absolutely berserk over here. What on earth was this performance? Absolutely monumental stuff from Vamos Esports over here. I don't think we've seen them go this hard ever before in this tournament so far. This might just be their best game of the week yet. And with this, they should definitely be able to skyrocket towards the top of the table.
Oh yeah, we literally said right before this Game 4 that the Malaysian teams need to show us something. They need to catch up to the color point, which is GOW. We literally said that Vamos, they represented the region as Aurora at EWC, that they need to bring back something and show us what they've learned. It took them long enough, but like you said, this is not only the best game we've seen in this season, probably one of the best games they have played for God knows how many seasons since they formed as this main 4 squad. Maybe this is the secret sauce. Vamos truly getting everything that they need. Look at the top elims, man. Zuez with 10, Juan with 9, Jun with 6. The audience called it right. They manifested the Vamos Booyah, but most importantly, they pointed out that Zuez and Juan are the dynamic duo, and they delivered it on a silver platter.
Exactly. I would say this was a golden platter. 10 from Zuez, 9 from Juan. All of them stepping up. Well, I mean, when the top 3 players out of the top 5 belong to the same team, you know that this is a life game that Vamos Esports were having right now. The MVP, Zuez. Oh, how does he even do this? I mean, he's been a pretty sharp player so far, but I haven't seen him pull off 1v2s, 1v3s like this so easily. And he was doing it all game long, whether it's early on in confinement or in the final battle in Refinery. Zuez continues to deliver. What a strong player he is. Using the Dreki, the Oscar, J-Beebs, Nikita, as well as the Joseph, he had 10 elimination and 8 assists. 5,000 damage, Husky. You don't get to see that every day.
Yeah, and it all really came down to how Team Vamos played the entire game, right? Remember, they were started at confinement. They basically drove out PE Sports and Onyx Olympus. Afterwards, they rotated north a bit, and they decided to go back to confinement, basically completely destroy Falcons and send Falcons packing, and then only they make the late rotation, and in the end, found themselves in a spot that almost felt unlosable. Evil's Divine almost ruined that chance because Kochu pulled out some crazy shots, but the end sequence with how Vamos work together as a squad when the numbers are stacked against them is what truly made this Booyah possible.
Yeah, I mean, when Vamos Esports had the best possible spot in the zone, I was kind of convinced that they could have the Booyah. And then Evos hit that lovely shot, and I was like, okay, maybe Vamos is vulnerable. Maybe they don't have everything going in their favor. And then Zuez and Juan decided to shut me up so well. I'm happy to witness that entire action, that entire fight. 2,900 damage each from Juan as well as Jun. Then you got Zuez obviously towering over everybody else with that massive 5k bomber, and the Axel also stepping up when the situation calls for him. Sheesh! These are some very impressive numbers, but it's not exactly the most surprising team composition. They've got quite a lot of survivability with Juan using that Zane as his active, as well as the Shani and Nikita, so he can continue fighting on. But look at those guys, Zuez as well as Juan. You call them the dynamic duo, I call them the duo that uses both Josephs.
It's pretty crazy because usually teams would opt to have a Cassie, but for Team Vamos, they decided, yeah, we don't want that healing. We don't really need that healing. We just need raw aggression and durability, and that's what they came up with, right? With decent utilities to back them up. June as the Morse as well, the bomber, the grenadier of the team, and then you have Axel, who is always Mr. Reliable when Team Vamos find themselves in dire straits. But when you look back at the stats earlier on, right, Zuez did 5k damage, but he also had 12 confirmed knockdowns. Juan has 10 confirmed knockdowns. That is not a stat that you see daily. I believe the highest amount of knockdowns that a player got before this was 10. Zeus has just broken that record.
Oh yeah, so you got record-breaking numbers over here, and all thanks to an extremely aggressive loadout. I mean, look at that. You basically got two snipers in the form of Axel and June, one using Skylar, one using Morse. Except for the Suzy in the hands of Axel, they are both using Raphael as well as Moko. He's just not using the model for a different reason. But you've also got Zane as well as Oscar on this team, so you got two players hitting them from afar and two players ready to do all the damage up close and personal. And that results in Vamos getting probably the best game that they have had in a very long time, with 27 eliminations.
Yep. And this is where we, venture into a scary territory. Can Vamos keep this up? And I'm not asking for a back-to-back booyah or like a back-to-back 39-point game, but I want to see Vamos. Yeah, just don't get knocked out in 12th place, right? Give us something to look forward to, because this has happened to Vamos, not just in the fall season, but we also saw it on EWC 26 this year in Paris, where they have a good run, but the next game you can completely see them lose their momentum, and that's something that Vamos needs to work on, and hopefully they get to carry this forward, because they need this to secure top 12. Because there are people who asked, right, can Vamos make it to the global finals? I think they can. They did it to phase 2 and phase 3 during the spring season to make it to Esports World Cup. But I want to see them make it directly through the top 12. And now they're in first place, 76 points, man.
Wow, that is so far ahead of PE Esports. A massive 14-point buffer between them and PE Esports. That is ridiculously good. And they've left Buriram as well as Bigetron in the dust. Those two teams are in the 50s. Buriram with 57, Bigetron with 54. MBR, pretty decent day for them. 50 points is definitely no joke. However, EVOS Divine, they had a brilliant start. They're kind of slowing down now. With only 49 points, they are tied up with Secret WAG.
This is some insane stuff. And this is why we always say in a competitive scene for Free Fire, one good game can change everything. And it has just changed the standings for Team Vamos temporarily. Now we need to see them keep it up, right? Again, we're not asking for 30 bombs back to back. We just need some convincing rounds, some rounds that put them, keep them in the lead, or at least make sure that they rack as much points as possible. Slight disappointment for Onyx Olympus. I thought they would go further. Very unfortunate round for Team Falcons. They basically didn't get to play the game at all.
Exactly. Team Falcons had a decent start to the day, but they've only acquired 42 points in the 4 games that they have played. Yes, normally one would say that's an average of 10 points per game, which is definitely not bad. But for a team like Falcons, it's very less. We're used to seeing them do a lot more. So yeah, let's see if Falcons can recover. Otherwise, AGL might just steal the top spot from them tomorrow. That being said though, Vamos Esports have had 2 amazing games so far, right? They almost got the booyah against PE Esports in Bermuda. If it wasn't for the supreme awareness of PE Esports, I think Vamos could have had that second booyah as well. And now we're here, a live game. It is absolutely crazy how one Malaysian team can surge so far ahead, while the other teams, especially teams like Esports Putrajaya as well as Magma Esports Club, are still struggling.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, but I believe the top 3 teams on Kalahari just now were the same top 3 teams from Game 3, right? PE, Vamos, and EVOS Divine. Yeah. So Vamos basically, right the wrongs of Game 3. But let's check out the game schedule, because we got 2 more coming up. One of it is the randomizer, which is Game 6. So only Nextera is left before uncertainty sets in. We haven't had a repeat Booyah team so far today. And let's keep it that way, because I want to see some teams make it to the top. And one of it, I really want to see MBR have one of these games. Just now on Kalahari, slight misfortune that Vamos decided that it's their game. But you gotta give credits when credit is due. MBR is one of the rookie team out of all the other rookie teams that in the fall season that has the best performance so far.
Yeah, and they're not really performing like rookies. They are able to deal with all these sticky third-party, fourth-party situations pretty well, and they survive encounters where I thought that their days were surely numbered. So that's kudos to MBR, but they're still nowhere close to the top 4. Obviously, the top 4 being dominated by the usual suspects like Buriram Esports, Secret WAG, Falcons, as well as Onyx Esports. And Onyx Esports have had some crazy moments where they drop the ball. and still they managed to be in the top 4. They still managed to be in the contention to be called the Kings of SEA.
Yeah, and a big surprise that Bigatron is not even on that list of top 4 because Nextera is one of their map. But we do have a substitution for Secret WAG. They are going to ask Hwang to sit on the bench this time and have Shiryu in. So they're trading utility for more frontline aggression, which means that we get to see Shiryu and T-Quay. That is going to be scary because it tells us that Secret WAG, they want to go in even harder.
Ooh. All right, then I hope that the substitution will help them out because Secret WAG, it just seems like very tiny margins. That's what they're missing out on. They had some good fights today, but if 1 or 2 eliminations went their way, then they would have had either a booyah or they would have had really cool placements. In this game, I am going for Onyx Olympus. It's a bit of a risky pick from my end, and I really hope that they don't crash out early, but obviously, Falcons have a pretty good chance of making it to the top as well, so I'm way more confident about your prediction this game, Husky.
I mean, you say that, but after the last round, what happened to Falcons is looking rough, but I wouldn't put it past them. Falcons have done crazier things. That's how they won EWC 24. Now we're going to hop into Nextera. Let's find out if the usual suspects are still going to be leading the pack, because none of them actually showed up in the Kalahari final circle in the previous round. Less for Evo's Divine. Oh, fight path is pretty generous this time. Down the middle.
Yeah, just bisecting the map in half. Every area accessible. Oh, Mudside and Decker Square could be heavily contested. Esports Putrajaya and P Esports both splitting up across these 2 POIs. Meanwhile, you got Falcons in the extreme east. Magna Esports Club right beside them in Zipway. Hold on, look at this 3-1 split from Bigatron though. Few of them in Intellect Center, but C-Bank near Mudside.
Yeah, and Ryu unfortunately losing that out. What do we say about PE Sports and the Malaysian teams? They always run into each other. And I think at this point, PE Sports, they're always on guard that a Malaysian team is going to drop right by their side. But unlike the previous game, it's not Vamos, it's Esports Putrajaya, and they walk away with 2 points.
Yeah, they do walk away with 2 points. I think even Falcon wants a couple of points for themselves. They know that Magna Sports Club dropped in Zipway. They destroyed their UAV just a couple of moments ago. But Magna Sports Club still looking for Falcons to overextend, and this could finally be the opportunity. 1-on-1 offered by On Fire, but he wins that duel against Virus. Now Magna Sports Club will have to find their way back towards the vending machine and hopefully get their teammate back. Meanwhile, back in Mudside, you got P Esports versus Esports Putrajaya, which continues over here. Sichuan and LBT both winning out their individual duels.
The history might be repeating itself, and for Esports Putrajaya, they gotta stem the bleeding right here, right now. Because chances are, gotta be prepared to play on the latter stage of stage 2. It's not gonna look pretty, but they do get the revive again. Kenshin and Mikaja brought back. As for PE Sports, they're gonna take control of Mudside, and I think for now it's all about intel gathering, which is what Twisted Minds was doing, but you can't say the same for MEC because Falcons are hungry for some revenge, and Pina will get Winsy.
Oh my god, yeah, LF is so low on HP. Pina didn't even need to do much. 3 eliminations for Falcons already. And it seems like they did not really have to work too hard for it. They have a fair idea of where Jans could be. And he was just brought into the day after game number 3, so yeah, after being substituted, it is quite a lot of responsibility that's on his shoulders. He thought he would be safe if he ducks underneath that underground tunnel, but hold on, there's a new contender. Bigatron have entered this fight, and Dix, he will be able to win the initial duel, but can he get the res onto his teammate Kyong right around the corner? Nah, he will not be able to do so. He gets the confirmation onto On Fire, but Pina, instead of forcing the issue, goes back towards the vending machine to get that res. Almost wins that duel, but Dix finally takes the better of him. And that Shogun duel, it's something that Dix will never lose.
Yeah, I felt like we've seen that before for Team Falcons. Hit list put onto Limit X7 as well. BTR, they definitely want more than just one. That's how they earned the reputation of being the Falcons Slayer. That was from 2 years ago, and Falcons have it just since then. But it doesn't hurt to see the reenactment of that. And clearly, BTR are in a stronger position.
Yeah. History has a funny way of repeating itself. And this rivalry just seems eternal. Bigatron, though, have quite... they've got quite the spread over here. They're kind of separated from each other. Meanwhile, back in the top of the map in Intellect Center, you've got Onyx Esports facing the same problems once again. They are so far away from each other. Oof. They basically can never back each other up. All these isolated duels, they were struggling with it in Kalahari as well, and those problems persist in Nextera too.
Man, what is happening? Okay, early on, they actually did get gunned down by Secret WAG. So unfortunately, Poom couldn't escape, even though he had the stealth bites. But still in the lobby for now. Falcons maybe will be in for another World of Hurt. They did get the full squad back. And they're actually itching for a fight. Oh! Pina backs off and causes On Fire to get knocked down. That is not the time to revive, man. Pina, you cannot do this. He ends up falling, and that's just a brutal collateral there for Falcons. BTR gets another 2.
Yeah, and it all started with Seabank getting that first knock, forcing Falcons to go for that res, which was a rather unforced error. And because of that, Bigetron just completely steamrolled over them with only one member of Falcons now alive and holding the torch for his team. That's gonna be Limit X7. It will be rather difficult for him to get to another vending machine over here because even Twisted Minds have entered this space. And he really can't get away from this spot without using a mini launch pad. And that will also be quite difficult because all these snipers are super good at hunting down flying targets.
It's quite a rough spot right now for Team Falcons.
Yeah.
For 2 games in a row, they haven't been able to get their feet off the ground. Evo's Divine runs into the full squad of BRU, so that's gonna be them losing another member. And BRU not out in the clearing just yet. LBT finds a easy shot from the back to take out the captain. The rest of BRU, but then what was that shot? BRU in imminent danger as Twisted Minds now rush towards MBR.
Twisted Minds closing in the distance, and MBR have left Fantasy on this side of the road while the others escape. So he's kind of trapped in a 1v4 over here. His best hope is that they rush him one by one and offer individual duels, but Twisted Minds are better than that. He puts up the glue wall hoping to buy himself some time, but he just about escapes. Nah, Twisted Minds will not let him go. Diamond chasing him down. And there was another member of Twisted Minds who was also providing backup from afar. Right now, we won't have time to deal with that because Makla Esports Club are clashing against Secret WAG. They've got Shiryu down on the ground. The substitute not really making his impact as soon as he enters his first fight, but Tikoi, consistent as ever, gets the knock onto Olive. Hold on though, Jans might be able to make a difference. He goes out of the house once again. Winzy did not account for PLS1 to be around that corner. That's a second knock for PLS1. Hold on though, what on earth did Jans just pull off? I was counting on him to make a difference and he did. It's now a 1v2. These guys have to fall back. PLS1, after doing some crazy damage onto Winzy and Aleph, has to now run away and somehow revive his team once again.
God dang, MEC able to stem the bleeding off of the heroics of Jans, like you pointed out, Crips, but man, PLS1 undetected the whole time. Jun, an initial shot onto Jonah, now takes the challenge. Jun, can he win this? There's a bit more, one more shot, we're gonna do the job. Jonah does not stand a chance, and Vamos doing a fantastic job. Jun will now try to hunt for more. The rest of Vamos trying to chase down BRU. UAV sent down. What was that, Jun? You're pulling up crazy shots today.
It seems like he's really found his calling after that massive booyah in Kalahari. I think Vamos Esports will be unstoppable. And sometimes all you need is one big game to not only change the course of your entire tournament trajectory, but also the mental fortitude that you require to go up against a hard-hitting team like Buriram. Of course, if you give Moshi the high ground advantage, he is gonna gun you down, but Jun can instantly be brought back. Vamos have access to that vending machine, and Buriram Esports will have to do quite a lot to make them go away from the spot.
Yeah, some good stuff there. That's the momentum we need to see from Team Vamos. Of course, not letting it get over their head, which does happen when you get a bit too confident. But in this case, Team Vamos kept it under control. Good moderation from the Malaysians. But for Secret WAG, they have no idea what is in front of them. It's Twisted Minds. A team that you give them a chance to go CQC, they are going to take it. And Falcons now up against EP.
Ooh, Falcons forcing a 2v4 battle. I hope that they don't bite off more than they can chew. Pina still very confident in chasing down Mikasa. Gets that knock. That Trogon in his hands, ever so deadly. Raja tries to get that revenge, but he's kind of trapped in between Pina and On Fire. Ryu jumps in to help him out, and finally On Fire goes down, but Pina is still alive and kicking, getting the confirmation onto Raja. Now trapped in a nearly impossible 1v2. Kenshin jumps into the cocoon of glue walls, hoping to win that duel, but Pina will get the best of him yet again. Pina on the verge of pulling off a 1v4. However, Ryu does get that knock onto Pina, confirms it, and he reses Kenshin as well. I mean, we knew that Falcons were outnumbered over there, but for them to continue fighting despite overwhelming odds, that's the Falcons I know and I love.
Yeah, that is incredibly sketchy. I mean, someone that, like, there's always been this discussion whether Pina, we have Pina, Wasana, Saifa, T-Quay, some of the greatest CQC players we've seen. But I gotta say, man, Pina, when you need him to pop off, he can pop off. It's just...
Yeah.
But Esports Putrajaya is sort of the chinks in the armor that we had discussed even during week 1, that in these moments, it feels like they somehow might drop the ball, and now they only have had 2 members left. They got the full revive, but it's gonna be a tough run for the rest of the round.
Yeah, Falcons, as impressive as their firepower is, have kind of slipped down to the 8th spot with only 50 points to their name today. Meanwhile, Buriram keep going from strength to strength. Make sure to check out their bundle inside the game. Alright, now though, Buriram Esports, where are they on the map? You got Moshi running away from Makna Esports Club in Crab Labs, while the rest of his teammates are spread out across Plazaria as well as Deca Square.
Vamos actually picked off one of the BRU members, and Magna wiped out another 2. So the captain is the only one left alive at Plazaria. There's a vending machine nearby, but I'm not sure if he has the resources to get the revive for now. Good scan with the Dinoculus from Vamos to rotate closer to the circle. They might be able to intercept Twisted Minds, who are rotating from the north side. Secret WAG against EP. Ryu outnumbered right now, but puts out the glue wall as T-Quay is on the hunt. Utilities dumped out. Ryu just needs a bit more to heal himself back up. Finds the time and space to do so. Raja comes in as a backup, and T-Quay will have to descend from the roof and regroup with the rest of the team. But Ngan finds an insane nade onto Ryu, and that's the opening the Secret WAG needs.
They know that Raja is done for. They have no choice but to send Kenshin away, otherwise they risk eliminating the entire team. Meanwhile, Secret WAG firmly control the eastern end of the circle. Another team that could potentially clash with them later on is going to be P Esports, but they are also contributing to taking down Esports Putrajaya right now. Oh my lord. And LBT struggling to land that shot against Mikasa, but he wins the duel anyway without losing any of his HP.
Yeah, that is the surprising thing. I'm surprised that Mikasa didn't land a single shot there. In times of dire straits, with Kenshin again, unfortunately forced to tuck his tail between his legs and get out of that. P Esports sitting at 13 eliminations and have been consistent for the better half of today's games.
Yeah. Good amount of eliminations, decent position near this tent in the south of Farmtopia. And the next circle also doesn't seem to cause a lot of troubles for them. I'm assuming it's gonna be a central shift, so not a lot of these teams will be in too much trouble. Oh my god, look at that. Buriram also landing right in the middle of Makna Esports Club. That could have been dangerous. Onyx Esports have the high ground, and they are going to split up across the entire roof of Farmtopia so they can keep tabs on multiple teams. However, I don't think they can force that issue against Makna Esports Club just yet. They will just have to be comfortable with letting them be in the same compound as them. Esports, decent shot, but I don't think they can confirm that elimination. Hold on though, Falcons in quite a lot of trouble.
Yeah, the Indonesians basically focus firing down the Falcons members. Por in one side, Pina on the other. Basically open ground under the lightning zone as well. This is the worst possible spot that Falcons can be in. Nan's gonna get picked back up by his teammates. And I don't see a way for Falcons to get out of this predicament. Even to the nearest vending machine is safeguarded by the Vietnamese. And Nan finds Por. And once more Falcons down to just Pina.
Oh! You said that, and Pina just managed to buy back On Fire and Liminex 7. Still, where will they land? There's not that many spots left in the zone. And they will have to make their way inside the circle as well. That is, if they can land on the ground, that is. WAG as well as MBR, both of them getting a little bit of these eliminations onto the Falcons members. Yeah, these birds, they will not be flying for that long. Now, Pina has to finish what he started. But Shiryu the man who's just been brought in as the substitute, manages to put that final nail in the coffin, and that's the end of the Falcons for the time being. Wait, they were the first team to get eliminated? There's still 11 teams alive, Husky. Oh, this is going to be a very claustrophobic zone.
Look, remember, Crips, when you asked me about my prediction and say you felt good about it, and I was like, yeah, I'm not that sure. Well, unfortunately, it has manifested. But, well, at least they have, I believe, MEC that joined them afterwards. Oh, it was Esports Putrajaya. Onyx Olympus still on top of the roof. PE Sports down there. Beacon by Vitality nearby as well with Twisted Minds. And guess who's not on the screen again? I think it's Vamos, who might have clashed with BTR. We gotta check back on that in just a little bit. I know MBC is definitely there. C12 with a snipe onto Shiryu and WAG. They're gonna need a hell of a pack resource to get out of that. MBR trying to force the hands of EVOS.
Yeah, but EVOS, they're holding on to this house, but they will have to leave eventually. They will have to run in tandem along with MBR to get inside the zone. And while they're fighting each other, you got Onyx Esports showering bullets at them from above. Even Twisted Minds are now targeting MBR. EVOS are just getting picked apart. They are the common target for every single team over here. Yeah, that's not a position you would want to find yourself in. Now Onyx finally turned their attention towards PE Sports and WAG, but that's more than enough. The damage is done, and Bigatron get the last elimination onto MBR.
Yeah, this is about to be a free for all, a literal free fire zone right now. No chance there. It's PE Sports with 15 and counting. What a day for this team. And Crime looks to put that to a stop. Lazzy on the C1, trying to spray down the members of PE Sports, but the reinforced glue walls keeps them safe for now. Medic gun deployed. PE Sports back to cover.
5 teams eliminated in just less than 60 seconds. Yeah, I guess you can call the circle Thanos because it just shaved the number of people in the circle by half. Nice shot onto June. Bidep going down, but I think they can recover Bidep. Yep, instantly bringing them back. PE Sports now looking to get inside this little compound. Vamos Esports hoping to squeeze them out. Bigatron Esports also knocking on the doors. Meanwhile, Onyx no longer have the angles to shoot down any of them, so it's just gonna be PE Sports versus Bigatron. Nero and LPT doing God's work. Bidep also chimes in. It's all up to Deeks now, fighting for his life, fighting for the survival of his team, and he wins all the duels inside that time turner. He has just enough time to get the res onto Bigatron, but then they will be forced to leave that staircase and jump downstairs. And oh my god, the zone is doing so much damage. It's finally Sichuan who gets that last shot and eliminates BTR, but by the time he goes down, the zone has done most of the damage, and Vamos Esports eliminate PE Sports.
Yeah, Vamos is able to sneak through earlier on, but it will now come under the scopes of Twisted Minds. But this is good news for Vamos in a way because they are far away from where Twisted Minds and Onyx Olympus are at. And all Vamos needs to hope for is for Onyx Olympus to engage Twisted Minds, but that doesn't seem possible because Vamos being out there in the open with their glue walls is going to attract so much attention. They're going to redirect themselves. Riptide coming out double on top of that, and that gives Crime the opportunity to take Suez down. Axel comes in to try and bring his buddy back up and will be successful in doing so. Vamos are still hanging on.
Yeah, Vamos Esports using that tractor as well as the 2 monster trucks that they just brought down as cover. Their reinforced glue UAV was just destroyed, but now Onyx Esports will have to realize that Vamos Esports can no longer be shot at. They need to deal with Twisted Minds first, who pose a much greater threat to them as the circle starts to shift. Onyx once again not letting go of the high ground. Twisted Minds are directly under them. They've crossed that one house from the other, and I think Onyx will now have to drop down and instantly be ready to face Twisted Minds. They're ready to intercept them.
Vamos just needs to hold on a bit longer. Just a bit more. The monster truck debris is gonna be used as quite the cover. But glue wall investments is gonna be paramount. They use quite a lot of it because of the double retire rhythm earlier on from Onyx Olympus. And with Twisted Minds hiding in the building, it's a matter of timing. Can Vamos find a blind spot here?
Oh, the circle being in the open. That road in the middle splits these 2 teams in half. And yeah, these monster trucks have also taken their fair share of damage. Onyx Esports finally make landfall. And with both Vamos as well as Twisted Minds shooting at them, it's gonna be a field day for Onyx Esports. Can they survive this one? A member of Twisted Mind goes down. Vamos Esports get that knock, but they should be able to get the res once again. Onyx tried to close in the gap. Axel puts a bullet in Gidey's brain, and once again they try to use the glue wall to get the res onto him, but Axel will get that confirmation. 3v4. Vamos Esports are now getting pushed by Twisted Minds as well. They try to make their way towards the other side of the house, hoping to get some solid cover and closing the distance against Twisted Minds. And Vamos Esports somehow have made that rotation. Onyx not able to punish them in the transition. June almost jumps inside that little monster truck, but Jump will be able to get the knock onto Boom. And Onyx Esports are getting picked apart. Putra trapped in between 4 Twisted Mind players. That's the end of him.
This is good. Vamos might have a chance to do it again. It's them against Twisted Minds. Jump's gonna go down first. Vamos right in the center. Axel too as they all come together. Oh, Vamos doing it 2 times in a row, man. 2 back-to-back booyahs. Game 4 and 5. Team Vamos not only came alive, they absolutely crushed it in the second half so far, Crips.
Yeah, and they use the same formula once again. In Kalahari as well as Nextera, they walk far away from the rest of the teams, while the other remaining teams have to deal with the verticality angle. Vamos Esports are sitting far away from the action where they have lines of sight onto everybody. They never get caught in between 2 teams, they never get sandwiched, and Vamos Esports manhandling the circle to their advantage, get their second booyah. What on earth did these guys have for breakfast today? Because they have been on fire.
I said that they had a great game in Game 4. We do not need them to go back to back. They just need to be consistent. They were like, nah, we're gonna go back to back. Signed, sealed, and delivered in Game 5. But I gotta say, that final sequence was perfection. They not only managed to identify, to assess the situation properly, that Twisted Minds was not big of a threat, but Axel slowing down the advances of Onyx and Jun making the call to continuously push on forward with the glue walls that they have, not only allowed them to exchange spots with Onyx and Twisted Minds, but ended up putting them in a spot where it was Twisted Minds that took care of Onyx Olympus, which was the first team that went after them. So Vamos, with just great tactical brilliance. Obviously, unlike the previous game, they aren't able to get 39 big points, but man, 17 elims and a booyah,
Still
29
good.
points is still super impressive.
Yeah, it's actually pretty impressive. I mean, PLS1 was also impressive with those double eliminations, but in the end, he wasn't able to lead Secret WHG to that massive of a game. They did manage to accumulate double digits in terms of eliminations, but look at this massive cluster with Esports, Bigitron, and Vamos all stuck in Farmtopia. Vamos Esports actually managed to get the better of everybody and make that rotation much more safely. And then they kept the distance against Onyx and Twisted Minds, you know? So when Twisted Minds actually started to just go for that house, Vamos realized that they are not that big of a threat. They focus on Onyx. And when Onyx tried to close in the distance, that knock from the Axel was absolutely crucial for Vamos Esports. But that wasn't enough. They knew that with Onyx closing in the distance, they will have to somehow move closer towards Twisted Minds in order to make sure that they do not get sandwiched in between both those teams. So it's not just the micro adjustments and the supreme firepower that Zeus possesses, it's also the overall macro movements to make sure that Vamos Esports do not get trapped in between these teams. That's what kept them alive in that final circle.
Another MVP performance from Zeus. Got it in the previous game, gets it again in game number 5. And more importantly, for Team Vamos, this is them at their best, right? It feels like they've awakened something inside of them, something that we have been longing to see, especially for the Malaysian fans. And the more important thing is that before Game 4 started, by the end of Game 3, Vamos, I believe, were in 15 or 16 spot on the overall ranking. They just came off 2 big wins, and that might have been enough to push them into the top 12. And if they keep fighting like this tomorrow, God, we are going to see them in Phase 2 as one of the top 12 teams.
Oh, 100%, bro. Any viewer that saw this team in the last week, and if they're watching them in this week, will not even recognize these people. It's like they're watching 2 completely different teams. This is not how Vamos Esports were rolling around in the first week, man. And today, they just woke up on the right side of the bed and they chose violence upon waking up. once again, the double rusher and the sniper loadout works out brilliantly for them. They've got the Skylar as well as the Morse, with both those players using the Moko as well as Raphael. Of course, the only difference being Suzy between June as well as the Axel. These two players deal with all the long range battles. Meanwhile, Juan with that Zane and his fourth player with Oscar, they deal with all the engagements up close. Great division of labor between all the members of Vamos Esports, and 17 eliminations is still pretty damn good, man.
Yep. Also incredibly impressive for PE Sports, right? They also got 17 eliminations before they eventually succumbed to basically the mosh pit, which was them, I believe Onyx and Onyx and BTR at a point in time, and Secret WAG in the mix as well, is quite the chaotic unfolding of events. But even PE Sports have had quite the consistent run so far, coming in with another big 24 points. That's going to keep them safe. Twisted Minds with 18, and even for BTR with 18, Twisted Minds with 19, BTR with 18, Secret WAG with 17. Most of the teams in the top 5 came out with a lot of elims.
Yeah, my goodness. And the usual suspects that the teams that we expected to do well, teams like Falcons, teams like Bigatron, they just did not do all that much in this game. Of course, Bigatron did have some good fights before they got into that massive cluster in Farmtopia where they were outnumbered and outgunned. It still keeps Bigatron at 72 points, but Vamos Esports crossing the 100 points marker, this was definitely not on my bingo card for today.
No, not at all. And now we got to see if they can, break the record of the most points by a team in a single day. It's going to be tough, right? Because the record, I believe, was held by either AJL or Falcons. But even if not, this is one of the best performances, hands down, that we have seen from Team Vamos in a long, long time, or if not ever. And I want to see what that random map is going to be, right? Because if you ask me, I always ask for Kalahari, and, God forbid we get Kalahari again. And that was the map that Vamos came out with 27 eliminations. Let's see if they can do it again, regardless of the map.
I mean, if we do get a second Kalahari, I will definitely be happy. But if Vamos gets a third Booyah, then I don't think any other team will be happy with that one. I mean, people were worried about Falcons and Bigatron dominating today. Of course, on paper, they are still the hardest hitting teams. But nobody would have expected a wildcard entry from Vamos Esports. And that kind of puts a spanner in the works of all these other teams who've been planning their advance systematically. Let's take a look at what the last map will be. Of course, I don't know yet. I am also hoping for Kalahari. I'm sure you share the same feelings as me, Husky.
Yep.
But will other teams be happy with this one? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Especially when the teams, they don't really know who they're fighting in game. Imagine the shocker when they review the VODs, right? Maybe after today, and they realize that, man, we got wiped out by Vamos 2 times in a row. That is going to at least earn the region a bit of respect, because I still remember towards the end of week 1, Falcons essentially made Malaysia bow to them as a sign of submission. Yeah. I'm glad that Team Vamos put their name on the board today.
Yeah, and Vamos is the only team that is actually keeping that Malaysian flag flying high. The other two Malaysian teams, Makna Esports Club as well as Esports Putrajaya, they haven't really been having that great of a time, with Makna Esports Club still being at the bottom. And despite them getting a good few amount of eliminations in the early game and winning their drop clashes, they really haven't been able to turn that tide around. Makna Esports Club were getting challenged by Falcons. And yeah, sure, Falcons were the first team to bite the dust. Makna Esports Club win that battle, but it still doesn't help their overall cause.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for the other Malaysian teams, especially when we are seeing something that's still lacking in them, right? I think mechanically as well, they are getting outgunned by a lot of these teams out there. But let's check out the random map selector to see which map are we going to go towards this time for game number 6. We've got some interesting one. I believe the last map of last week was Kalahari, especially for day 3. And today we are going to switch up the flavor a little bit, because Nextera will be the run it back.
Yep, 2 back-to-back Nextera games. Does that mean we get 3 back-to-back Booyahs from Vamos Esports? I mean, they did rotate really well in this map. The fact that they were stuck in Farmtopia alongside big names like Onyx, Bigatron, Esports. Vamos were the only team that escaped from that cluster unscathed, with all 4 members alive. And you don't often get to do that when so many teams are forced into a tiny corner like that.
Yeah, and that really requires not just experience, but precise execution. And now the question that everyone's going to be asking, including me, is that can Team Vamos do it again? Back to back to back, give us the hat trick. Because I don't think a Malaysian team has done that at all on the regional stage. This could be a first.
Oh, yeah.
Back to back is already impressive enough. 39 points is already impressive enough. But on Xterra, where BRU, Falcons, and Onyx, even Secret, WAG, still are the top 4 performers, Vamos got to do it again to prove that they deserve to be on that list.
Yeah, I mean, Vamos have already overtaken Buriram, Secret WAG, Falcons, and Onyx by a mile. Like, yeah, sure, Buriram over here at 66 might be pretty good, but Vamos have already crossed the 100-point marker. And for them to still not be included as one of the top contenders, that might just be a little unfair for them. But it is the first time we are seeing them go this hard. So I guess we are yet to see a little more from Vamos Esports, some little more consistency to cement their position on the top.
And this is going to ruffle some feathers because we both went for BRU for Nextera, and I think, you know, a lot of the audiences are also hungry for a BRU win. I mean, it's not that BRU hasn't gotten any booyahs, but to them, it's always nice when BRU takes this. And we'll see, right? BRU were also kind of iffy in the past 2 games. And if there's any time for them to recover and end the day on a good note, this is going to be it.
Yeah, this definitely will be it. Buriram did get a booyah today, but it was a rather cold booyah with not a lot of elimination. So, yeah, Buriram Esports not really feeling hot. Maybe this could be the game where they change that up. Let's jump into next era one more time, ladies and gentlemen. Last time we got a pretty nice plane path bisecting the map in half. This time, will the plane path throw us any surprises?
It was pretty generous in the previous round as it did cut right through the middle. But I want to see something different. I want to see something a bit more unconventional, you know, from the side. Kind of feels like it's still pretty generous. Yeah, I mean, you got half of it right. It did come in from the other side, but it's still down the middle.
Yep. Basically a crisp fast plane path. Last time we went from mud side to museum. This time we go from Twin Bridge to Grab Labs. Do we get to see the same drop clashes once again? This time Falcon and Onyx Esports are nowhere close to each other. Biggitron also have all 4 of their members on Intellect Center rather than sending one player to Twin Bridge. So there are some switch ups. However, Magna Esports Club going up against Buriram? Okay then. I didn't expect this to happen right off the drop, but here we go. This museum is about to become a graveyard with both these teams fighting each other.
Imagine BRU gets wiped out here. we both be shell shocked. But let's see. I mean, MEC, they're in for the ride of their careers here. If they can take out BRU, well, certainly for PE Sports, they're gonna win the rivalry again. 2 points for them, and Esports Putrajaya really not having a good start.
Yeah, Esports Putrajaya have always suffered losses today whenever they went in for their opening battles. Magna Sports Club was surprisingly able to hold their own in the initial skirmish in the previous map of Nextera, but this time they lose their members. However, Joanna might just be able to make a difference. He gets a double knock onto both Vinci as well as Aleph. He might just be able to make his way over to the other side of this glue wall and surprise Virus as well. They're both ready, staring daggers at each other with the TPP. Oh, Joanna finally gets that bleed out. And lovely shot connected, but Virus still survives. Oh my god, he pops open the stealth pipe only to go up against him at close range. Joanna finally sprays down Virus, and that's the end of Magna Esports Club.
Yeah, I was hopeful for a while, but unfortunately it took too long for MEC to get anything meaningful done. So the revives, well, the pickups came through from BRU. 4 points to get themselves off to a great start. Secret WAG hunting for Vamos. Azua should be able to make the escape here. Units can be brought back. LBT now finds himself Twisted Minds. But you have Exposy play from long range. He just fired a shot, lands on the narrow. And let's see if PE wants to aggress.
Exposy. He's forced Nero downstairs. That Reptile Rhythm not really helping them out. But all members of PE Sports are rather close to each other, with Twisted Mind still having some distance. And they are occupying the peripheries of this mudside compound. So it will force Twisted Minds to come out into the open, out of these buildings, if they want to actually force this battle against PE Sports. And they're even sending one of the members away. Esports have only Nero staying over here. Twisted Minds are the one to disengage. Okay, that was unexpected.
Wait a minute. The bus. What? Where are they going though? It's a 2-2 split. They are going to find an isolated Bara, maybe. Gonna be some extra points under their belt. MBR, they do already have one. Is Esports Putrajaya right opposite them? Okay, so Twisted Minds, they are able to gather some intel with a very short expedition. The intel that Ekal got is that he has Badep to deal with, playing with the Chrono Dome, Trogon in hand, and Ekal just has the better gun there with Aim God's assistance. Badep gets wiped out.
Oh, meanwhile, back in Decker Square, you got MBR versus Twisted Minds. Fancy about to face the boss. He jumps downstairs, the boss following him close. Diamond, however, will lose his duel as well. Oh my lord, this is going from bad to worse from their opponents. MBR thought they had the lead, but Twisted Minds have recovered very well from this fight.
Yeah, MBR Omega also getting caught off guard, and earlier on we did say it was Twisted Minds that decided to go on an expedition and ended up netting them 2 elims onto MBR, who will get that revive thanks to Bara's efforts, but trace his life in return. Evo's Divine nets their 5th.
Yeah, trade 1 life for 2. It is fair. And after Bara revived 2 members, it's time for Rafaela to get Bara back online. So yes, it's been a rather rough start for MBR, but they've been able to buy back most of their teammates. Oh, never mind. The moment I say that, Fantasy gets picked off midair by Tikoy. He's been having a field day today.
And honestly, even for Jun, look at that. What a shot on the Ekal. Is there a conversion of Jun is out in the open? He is literally naked there. Will need backup from his teammates who are coming in. They might get intercepted by Evo as Jun gets a good info onto where Fight is. That was Jun! Almost made that happen, but Kochu sharper with that one. Juan will now get challenged because Jun will need some help. Unfortunately, it's a bit too late. Ekal finds Juan as well. And Evo's Divine responds adequately. Vamos will lose that fight.
Yeah, I love the way they save Fez's life over there. Rochelle coming in for the rescue, getting that knock onto June just when Fez was about to go down. That turned the tide of this fight, but Zeus now takes down Ekal, and that could once again spell trouble. Fez will be able to snipe away the Axel for now, but hold on. Secret WAG are also contributing to this fight. They are taking down a couple of members of Amos. Zeus walks around the other side of the vending machine, not realizing that Aim God is right here. Oh, that's an unforced error right there.
Thank God it was needed to bring his teammates back. So Vamos are still in it, but again had to come at the cost of Zeus. If Vamos got wiped out, we would have lost all Malaysian teams at the start of Nextera. Let's see. Vamos had played from ahead for 2 games in a row. Let's see how they can manage to play from behind. That is going to be the ultimate test to see how far a team can push the limits. Twisted Minds are definitely going to push theirs. The chase after Esports, the vehicle, Nero and Badep taking some shots. Barbin and Vimin, the bus sneaks one through, then that's narrowed down. Badep decides to commit to a rescue mission here.
Yeah, has to commit that chrono shield over there as well. And they jump into the car once again. No! This time that was a mistake. And as soon as they jump into the car, Jump will be able to take them down. Badep now counting his lucky stars, hoping that he can survive this encounter, but there's just no escape. Jump will get the better of him yet again. And the finisher comes through rather stylishly. Twisted Minds up with 6 eliminations. Might be able to find MBR also lurking around in the shadows at the edge of the zone.
Yeah. Well, Vam was able to get a full revive there. It's great for the Malaysian team to restart their run. Twisted Minds actually having quite the compound to work with. Secret WAG finds Kochu. Ekal dives in, actually ends up breaking his own teammate's glue wall, but has to use the dome, a time turner, to bring his teammates back up on his feet. But it seems like this fight is inevitable. Secret WAG, they might be able to do a bit more damage to Evo's Divine while looking to disengage, but forced to engage against Secret WAG instead.
Aim God has to burn that dash just to escape that nade. Not exactly the best possible scenario for him to be inside, and he still makes that run across, taking half the damage. But It's gonna be up to his teammates to somehow provide him cover, and they are nowhere to be seen. AimGod loses his life, getting overwhelmed by the superior numbers of Secret WAG. Now Kusil also taking so much damage. Nice shot by PLS1, getting that knock. It just leaves Ekal in a corner over here. And he is kind of trapped between a rock and a hard place. He's got Secret WAG to his south, Twisted Minds to his north. The best thing that he can hope for right now is that they ignore him and end up fighting each other.
Yeah, Ekal is literally praying right now. Secret WAG will have to go through the high ground. They want to fight against Twisted Minds. That's Palsy in the wild. As they're covering as much ground as possible, Ekal ends up getting spotted. Can he get the revive? No, couldn't get it in time. Ekal slow on the draw there, and Evos are out.
Yeah, he even popped the time turner over there, hoping to buy himself some crucial seconds which could have led to a res. But yeah, he cannot buy his teammates back in time, and that's the end of EVOS Divine. Now, it's a fair 4v4 fight between Secret WAG as well as Twisted Minds, but Tikoi and Exposy both low on HP. Tikoi goes for the flank, climbs back inside. Diamond chasing him, but he walks onto the landmine, forcing him to disengage as well.
Twisted Minds still able to bail themselves out of this situation. Dropping right down is the boss. Let's have the Cassie with him, and look at that therapy. Keeping him topped out in what would have usually gotten a knockdown there. Secret WAG all trapped in this very tight compound. Quite claustrophobic. The glue wall prevents any sort of escape from the side entrance. So the doorway might be the undoing for Secret WAG. Exposy finding Tikoi will make it 10 times worse.
Yeah, Tikwe was hoping to find some angles onto a few unaware Twisted Mind members, but they are well aware about his flanks. They find Nan as well. Shiryu making that crossing once again to the vending machine. I hope he doesn't meet the same fate that EVOS Divine did, but unfortunately, Twisted Minds repeat that all over again.
Somehow, the survival rate of Twisted Minds have been exceptional. But they do have a lot of distance to cover, and Vamos being able to bring the whole team back, finds themselves at Zipway, able to intercept a couple of teams if they want to. But I have a feeling that Vamos take it a bit slow this time with how much damage they have to sustain early on.
Yeah, if they can get the high ground onto the two towers of Zipway, Vamos Esports might just be able to get a bunch of eliminations, if not the third booyah on the trot. But Secret WAG have quite a long distance to cover. They get a free elimination on the way inside. Okay, that's convenient. Biggitron, on the other hand, not that lucky. They already lost one more member, and now they have to lose Kyong as well. Biggitron reduced to just their last player. Seabank keeping the hope alive for his team will be found by June, and that's the end of Biggitron by Vitality.
Yeah, WAG with 12. And now the next obstacle is getting to a compound that is guarded by the members of Team Vamos, who are still quite daring to put themselves in the open to cover the grounds, to cover a bit more of the perimeter. WAG looking to converge here, and I think Team Vamos might have to fall back a little bit because there's very little support for Jun and the Axel.
Yeah, Jun and the Axel using that rock for cover will not be able to keep themselves safe. PLS1 lands the good shot against Jun, and Shiryu confirms that elimination. Secret WAG just got handed those two eliminations on a platter. Now, luckily, Juan and Zeus, both right next to Zipway, don't have too many other players around them, so they can afford to use that vending machine once more. And the remaining members of Vamos Esports will also have some safe spaces to land. Never mind, the moment I say that, Exposy and the boss pick them off mid-air. And this time, no more revives available for Vamos. Juan wins that duel against the boss, but will be quickly overwhelmed. Oh my lord! Jump finally comes through. And before anything else can go wrong for Twisted Minds, they deal with Vamos' threat promptly. No third booyah for them.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate there because, again, like I said, right, we both agree that Vamos didn't need to go that far. And they ended up getting punished for spreading their numbers thin when they didn't have the best of start here. Out in 8th place, Popor and Peanut shows up, and that's Peace while losing 2. LBT trying to salvage the situation, and now he's the only one left alive. Trying to use the glue wall to isolate the area, but unfortunately couldn't contain the ferocity of Falcons, and there goes PE.
Yeah, but Falcons did lose one more player to Onyx Esports though. Luckily, the vending machine of Mortar Ruins is right around the corner, so they can tank a little bit of the zone damage and bring their teammates back if they've got the cash to do so. But Onyx Esports have a pretty nice compound for themselves. And I don't think anyone else can contest it except for Falcons maybe, and even then they will have to risk quite a lot if they want to full send it against Onyx. Meanwhile, MBR and Secret WAG just battling for this side of the road. They both are contesting the same compound. They've got tiny pockets of safe space for themselves, but I wish I could say that for Buriram Esports as well. They will not be able to get inside the zone without a fight.
EWAG, they do see Onyx on the far end, but they also have BRU rushing towards them and MBR nearby. But top priority is to keep BRU out of this compound so that they have some safe spot to work with. They are going to limit their compound to just one single entrance. Does BRU want to come in while Sana leads the charge right into it? As he is down to play, BRU are going to be separated by the amount of glue walls, but eventually they all fall.
Wow!
And BRU basically just blitz the compound and take it as their own.
Ketna's grenade launcher, Moshi with that double elimination with the AWM up close. Buriram putting on a clinic over here, and they eliminate Secret WAG. Now even MBR is going to be trembling in their boots knowing that Buriram are their neighbors. Unruly neighbors, that too. Falcon are not able to get inside the compound, but I think they are more than comfortable staying out here in the open. Porpor providing cover fire from afar. Pina leading the charge, but I think he overextended over there. Gidey blows him apart with that grenade launcher, and that is Falcons losing their members left, right, and center. Even the Overwatch provider, Porpor, has been sniped away. Limit 7 having so many glue wall melters thrown at him, has to make that run across the open, while Rafaela will be able to steal that frag away from Onyx.
Now Onyx, BRU has a chance. We might get the prediction right for once. All 4 squads left alive with the full team available. Onyx, they have quite the open area to work with. And then we are also holding on pretty well. They did use the binoculars and scan out the other 2 teams. The Indonesians against the Thais, evenly spread out with MBR right in the center.
MBR, I think they will be probably one of the best possible teams to take advantage of the zone. Onyx have to make a massive rotation. They use the vehicles to close in the distance, but MBR are still holding them at bay. They're very afraid to get inside this L-shaped house. Buriram also trying to get angles, but they will not be offered anything. Almost all of Onyx Esports now converging on the left side of the house. I'm sorry, the right side of the house. And Buriram, they know about their rotation now. They're trying to make it out into the open, using the block as cover, and Buriram don't find any more angles, but they're so huddled up together, a single nade could be their undoing. That's why they have to use that triple stack glue wall, just to make sure no nades can make that verticality.
Yep. Who's gonna move first, Crips? Because the circle has decided to abandon all of them. And all of these teams, they're gonna feel trapped, even for Onyx and BRU. Especially for BRU, sure they have a compound, but exiting the compound puts them under the radar of everyone else. And Onyx, the defenses have completely gone down. MBR will have to make the move first, followed by Twisted Minds, and MBR now forced to run straight into the nest of BRU, and Twisted Minds intercepts them. This could be the window for Onyx to make their move and rotate to a safe spot.
Yeah, Onyx is basically using MBR as their meat shields while everybody's distracted shooting at them. Onyx Esports make their escape. MBR and Buriram chasing each other onto the other side. Buriram separate away. MBR also going for a 2-2 split, but no knocks from either side just yet. They both are just prioritizing the zone over eliminating each other. Rafaela has to fight against Onyx Esports, but Boom is landing some lovely shots with that M82B. And oh my god, the Putra also makes his escape. Twisted Minds capitalizing on this chaos with both Onyx as well as Twisted Minds. These guys are on fire. Onyx Esports out. It's just Twisted Minds versus Buriram Esports. Getna and Vasana leading the charge. Vasana breaks the Bass's ankles by dashing across him. Till he turns 180 degrees and the Bass wins the fight with the M590. Lovely nade by Diamond, and he could be the undoing for Buriram Esports. Oh my lord though.
Moshi?
With Moshi still alive, they can't really count him out. Lovely shot connected. 1v2. Make it a 1v3 as they get that res once more.
Can Moshi pull off the highlight play again? It's gonna be very unlikely with the blue zone taking him out there. Twisted Minds with the booyah to close out the evening. 23 eliminations and 12 points. That's a big 35 for one of the black sheep of Thailand. Twisted Minds makes their presence known.
Twisted Minds, I mean, they were not in the best possible spot over there, with both Onyx as well as MBR running parallelly alongside them. They had no choice but to just steal some eliminations while those two teams were beating each other up. And of course, a little bit of distance between them and the remaining cluster offers Twisted Minds a sense of safety, but still going up against Buriram in a 4v4 for the final battle is no small task, and Twisted Minds, they are able to deliver.
Yep, it was a fight between Moshi and Diamond, as we saw Diamond landed in a great nade to really, skill the odds, but Moshi was doing his absolute best to even out the playing field, but unfortunately, he needed to land a few more shots, which we weren't able to catch like one of the crucial misses, and the rest of BRU just couldn't hold the fort for Moshi to work his magic. Twisted Minds really getting the better end of the deal. They were able to intercept the rotation of MBR earlier on and basically just third party the Indonesian derby before finishing off BRU for the win.
This particular vending machine was so unlucky for both EVOS as well as Secret WAG. At least WAG managed to make it to the final circle with most of their members alive, and Vamos also kind of overextended. Otherwise, this could have been Vamos' game for the taking.
Yeah, I think even for Vamos, it was quite a slight lapse of judgment as well, right? I felt like they wanted to cover more ground and intercept teams, but with the condition that you have to win those fights, and by spreading their numbers thin when they are trying to play from behind, it was already a very risky move, but getting sandwiched by two different squads who had a great start basically became their undoing. But overall, I think, for Team Vamos, they still should have gotten enough points to put them in a spot of contention, but the MVP of this game, the highlight goes to the Bas. 8 elims, 7 assists, 4.1k total damage.
Lovely performance from the Bas. I loved how he was using his dashes to his advantage, and even though you had players like Vasana who just basically forced him to turn 180 degrees and break his ankles, you cannot count him out. All that fancy movement, all those maneuvers fall short in front of his deadly M590, and the way he just used it in that final circle is absolute tea. So good in that battle, especially when Buriram is running high on momentum. I mean, they just had a massive squad wipe against Secret WAG, and they were able to hold their ground against the other two teams who were trying to pinch them in. Yet, Buriram escaped with all 4 players unscathed, and even if they lose a couple of members, they can get them back up in time to face Twisted Minds at full strength. And then, for the boss to step up against what could potentially be the final boss of the lobby, it is nothing short of impressive. So great performance from him, and that makes him the MVP. However, it was a team effort to get this booyah. Almost all of Twisted Minds had their roles cut out for them. Diamond versus Moshi, making sure that the players who were supposed to provide overwatch from afar are busy keeping each other in check. Jump also had some crucial knocks when they were going from compound to compound. And of course, Exposi, even though he did not contribute as much as the Pass, Diamond and the Jump, he still had his presence. And that was enough to buy Twisted Minds a little bit of safe space. That's all you can ask for in such a claustrophobic circle.
Yeah, and I think, the two players that are worth highlighting, it's definitely the Bas and Diamond, right? It's a very clear support system that was perfectly put on display. Diamond clearing the way for the Bas to really work his magic. And this is sort of why every now and then Twisted Minds finds themselves in the conversation, because we know that they are capable of games like these. I just wish that we see more of that, and that's why they are the dark horses, the black sheep of the region, because they always have breakout runs. They are so capable. Some of these players have come close to touching a trophy, but still a lot more to be desired, and this is going to be a good footnote for Twisted Minds to remind themselves moving forward, as I believe they have come to an end in their Phase 1 run. Group C is essentially done.
So it's a good note for Twisted Minds to end their run in the knockout stage, Phase 1. I mean, you end on a high note with the Pass getting 8 eliminations and Jump getting 7. And yet, even though these guys do most of the heavy lifting, you've still got Exposi and Diamond dishing out 3,000 and 4,000 damage. All of that is pretty impressive. Even this team is running a dual sniper loadout, because Exposi is using the Skylar, and then you've got Diamond using the Morse. Both of them using Maro as well as Moko. Of course, the only difference being Rafael and Suzy between these two snipers. That being said, though, look at the survivability that Jump offers to the team. He's got the Diva, he's got the Joseph and the Cassie. that's quite a lot of survivability which was offered by Jump.
Yeah, and overall just great stuff from the side of Twisted Minds. The game standings will give us a good picture of how far Twisted Minds has come this game. 35 points, basically very one-sided, leaderboard, at least for them. But everyone else, Secret WAG, BRU, Onyx Olympus, they got closer to 20, and afterwards it was just people scavenging for scraps.
I don't think we've seen such disparity in any of the scores of the matches today. Like, yeah, sure, except for that one game where Vamos Esports managed to get 27 eliminations, all the other games that we've seen so far had minimal difference between the team that wins the Booyah and the team that come in second place. But this time, the difference between Twisted Mind and Secret WAG, 35 and 19, that's quite a massive difference. And we haven't really seen that all day.
Yep, not at all. And today's standing, Vamos stands at the top with 113 points, followed by PE Sports with a pretty consistent day, netting themselves 97. Twisted Minds comes in third, 89. BRU with 85, alongside Secret WAG. So quite the top 5 we've had. I mean, the usual names are there, barring, Falcons, but I'm happy with what MBR has gotten for themselves. Right smack in the middle with 67. Evo is still struggling, but Vamos coming in first the today's standing and being team of the day. That wasn't on my bingo list.
Oh, definitely not. So Vamos have surprised all of us for sure. But it was a rather uncharacteristic day for all the Indonesian teams. Teams like BTR, EVOS, Onyx, not getting more than 80 points. I thought at least one of them surely could go to 100. But for MBR, it's a pretty good day. 67 points for them is really nice. However, Falcons did not really have that great of a day. So let's see if they can retain their top spot tomorrow when AGAL steps into the mix.
So when we look at the overall standings, like you said, Falcons, they are still in first place. Unfortunately, no 400-point mark for them. AGL is the team that is closest to catching up to them. Unfortunately for Team Vamos, because of that final round where they made some boo-boo, they were not able to make it to the cut-off point of tail spot, but they're only 3 points behind, and they have one more chance tomorrow where BTR will also be playing, so that race is going to be absolutely interesting. But once more, congratulations Team Vamos for being team of the day. 71 elims, 2 booyahs, 62 assists, and overall phenomenal performance from the Malaysians.
Yeah, I think this is Vamos having the few games of their lives. These guys have been on the radar for quite a long time, but in general, most of the Malaysian teams have been struggling in this tournament, especially Makna Esports Club and Esports Putrajaya. So with Vamos finally breaking that curse, they are literally putting Malaysia on the map.
Yeah, really breaking the cycle and again doing what they did from the spring season where they basically prove that they have what it takes to compete, not just regionally, but on the international stage. And I think, the recent exposure at EWC gave us a bit of hope, but if they can do it again and qualify for the eventual global finals, that is going to give the region a big boost, a big needed boost after 4 years of absence. And I think Team Vamos, they're on the right track to get there.
Very impressed by them. I hope to see a lot more from them in the future. I hope this is not like one of those days where you go way beyond your means and absolutely impress us with your performance and then you just fall flat for the rest of the tournament. I hope seriously that this was not one of those days. But I'm very excited to see AGAL step back into the mix tomorrow. I wonder what's going to happen if AGAL continues to play like the way they have been playing so far. I thought Falcons were untouchable. I thought they would definitely cross the 400-point mark today, but they fell short by just a little bit. And if all the other teams like Bigtron and AGAL also have a bad day tomorrow, then this playing field will be leveled.
Yeah, it will be quite the interesting race to see who gets to stay in top 12, especially for Team Vamos, who have 6 more rounds to prove themselves. And if they keep up this momentum and ride that tide that they've gotten from Game 4 and 5, tomorrow it's almost guaranteed that we will see Team Vamos start in Phase 2. But for AGAL, there is going to be quite the conversation with BRU in the mix. AGL, BRU, you cannot run away from the comparison on which is the better team. And that's what the crowd likes, comparing these two titans.
Yeah. Oh, 2 more teams that I want to compare with each other are obviously gonna be EVOS Divine as well as Twisted Minds. Yeah, sure. Twisted Minds got their booyah in the dying embers of this day, and EVOS Divine got their first booyah of their entire playthrough. But that was it from these 2 teams, and they will not be playing tomorrow. So even though the stakes are not that high, even if you don't make it into the top 12, it's not the end of the road for you. I really would have thought that with this being the last play day for these two teams, they would have done a little bit more.
Yeah, not much of an impact towards the end, right? It was Divine down with a whimper, and now just have to wait how it plays out and reside to fate. But we do have an interview coming up, so ladies and gentlemen, let's check it out.
Hi guys, and right now we are here with our Supreme Sea King team. Yay! Team United Esports นั่นเองค่ะ So congratulations on winning the daily challenge today. So today 4 teams entered the battlefield, but how does it feel to be like the king of sea today?
ยินดีด้วยครับที่วันนี้ชนะ Daily Challenge ของวันนี้ไปได้นะครับ รู้สึกยังไงบ้างที่ชนะในวันนี้ได้ครับ
ก็รู้สึกดีครับ รู้สึกดีใจที่ชนะครับ แต่ก็ยังไม่พอใจกับฟอร์มในวันนี้ครับ
So yeah, we're feeling happy today, but not that much because like we still couldn't reach our goal to be exact. Yeah. So for the next question, among Team Onyx, Team Falcons, and Secret WAG, which champion gave you like the biggest challenge today?
ครับทีม Onyx Falcon WAG คิดว่าวันนี้ทีมไหนเป็นปัญหาใหญ่ที่สุดในวันนี้ของเราครับ
ครับทีมแบ็คครับ WAG ครับ
ทำไมคะ
มีเหตุผลไหมค
เพ
รับ
ราะว่ามันเป็นแผนการเดินชนกันบ่อย
Oh, so our biggest challenge today could be Team Secret WAG because like their play style is like kind of similar to us. Okay, so you have earned the right to tear the defeated champion down today. Get those logos ready. I'm going to count down from 3. Are you guys
โอเค
ready?
พร้อมยังครับ พร้อมยังที่จะบดขยี้โลโก้ของทีมตรงข้ามครับ พร้อมยัง
พร้อมแล้วครับ
โอเค
Let's go.
ดีใจ
3,
มากเลย
2 1
Let's
ลุ
go.
ยโอ้โห
โอ้ว้าว
อันนี้ด้วย
โอ้ว้าวช่วยให้นายทำเลยให้นายทำเลย
โอ้
เตอร์โชว์เลยนี่เลยจัดเลย
Okay, so what about Team Falcons? Why didn't you tear them down?
ทำไมไม่หาของทีม Falcon ครับ
ก็เป็นทีมไทยด้วยกันครับ
Oh.
I love Falcon
Because like Team Falcons is also our regional pride. Wow, that's so impressive. Okay,
Yeah.
so what do you want the other 3 teams that defeated you today remember you guys today?
มีอะไรที่อยากให้ 3 ทีมที่ชาเลนจ์กับเราวันเนี้ยจดจำเราบ้างครับ
ครับ ไม่มีอะไรให้จด
เต้น
จำ
ไหม
ครับ
เต้น
ไม่ต้องเต้นครับ อะไรอ่ะ อ๋อหน้าตาอะไรครับ
Okay,
ตา
so
ไม่ดี แต่เอลดี
so maybe our performance is not at that point, but at least our performance at dancing is really good. Show them.
ไหนลองเต้นหน่อย
1, 2, 3.
สาวจะ
Okay, and maybe that's all for today. Thank you for having us today. Let's go back to the caster.
บ๊ายบาย
What I love the most is the way he stares into that camera with that deadpan face while he's crushing the WAG and the Onyx logos. Like, that gaze was so piercing, I thought it would just penetrate straight into my soul. And the way he was just staring at the camera, so menacing, like he's giving me final boss vibes over there. But then on the other hand, he danced like a nice cutie towards the end, and I'm like, what am I supposed to feel right now? Am I supposed to feel intimidated, or am I supposed to, like, think that for him it's just another day in the office?
As an ice cold killer once said, I think it's a normal day in the office for Getna. I mean, I remember when they won the global finals in Jakarta last year, he literally stood up on the chair, he was like going off, you know, the moment they won the whole thing. But all of them are quite the personality. Pretty sure Turner is getting some lessons on how to perform in front of the camera. But he's a sweet dude, right? Keeping the Falcons logo intact just because it's the same region. And that's the love that they have for their fellow teams, even though they are fierce rivals in the game.
Yeah, he even kissed that Falcons logo a little, just a quick little smooch before he lets Getna completely take over the camera. And it's not just the fact that he's a big showman, not just the fact that he's intimidating, but also he can switch up emotions like this so quickly. So he's a true entertainer through and through.
Even in a lot of the highlight reels, right? We focus so much on Moshi and Wasana, but man, Getna has some of the best highlights as well. It's just that he wasn't really required most of the time. And I'm pretty sure what powers BRU whenever times get dire, when they need an extra boost, is Red Bull. Red Bull Zinc and Vitamin from Thailand is supplemented with Zinc, B3 and B6, featuring a mild taste that helps players stay highly focused and seize every opportunity to achieve stylish booyah victories.
Yep, and just like Getna, you should not let go of any opportunities to flex your strength onto your opponents. And obviously with Red Bull running in your veins, you can trust that energy. That was it from our side, ladies and gentlemen. These were some fantastic games coming through. Tomorrow, we will once again witness the teams of Groups A and B duke it out. This is it for the teams of Group C, so you will probably only see them in the next phase 2 of the tournament. But tomorrow, we will finally find out who will be the top 12 teams that you will see in the next stage of the tournament on the first day itself. Obviously, everybody else will also get to play, but they will have limited play days.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that being said, we hope you guys enjoyed today's broadcast. Tomorrow will be D-Day, where we see who gets to start in the main lineup of Phase 2. The teams of Group C, they will have to say their prayers and hope that they did enough in the first 2 days. That's it from me, Husky and Cribs. Also, shout out to the Mustachio AJ. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, for the final day of Phase number 1. And until then, bid you guys a very fabulous evening. Good night and goodbye.
Now, burn bright, I don't burn out. Crushed out, look at me now, huh? I can never go reverse now. But I'ma spin it back, A-jump. Went from nada to the crowd, throwing their hands, bass jump. I'ma hit the finish line no matter what. They front, first place, you a runner-up, dominant, but the red and the blues going ruthless. 10 out of 10, 11, I don't snooze. I pursue, don't push it, put me in game that I don't lose. I stay cool, depending on my pen and pennants I choose. Ayy, I'ma show you how it got it, now the loudest. Wu-Tang, I'm a bird of the competition. Told you only way is up, I don't go reverse. I can't entertain. Will you do the same? Cause I've been ready my whole life. Only see my back, I ain't turning back on them. Wings on me, I'm higher. Cause I've been ready my whole life. Wings on me, I'm higher. Who am I gon' verse now? Who am I gon' verse now? Show me what it's worth now. I pull up in the can't imagine all these people wanna follow, missing in action. Paper planes, I'm a condos, made it from rapping, and I met role models. Thinking I'ma pass all the monogram on my body, the shit shout out to Virgil. Know that I'm gon' beat them like the shit that I put words to. Mama and the internet, 2 things that I just learned through. Hit it out of park, so there's nothing to reverse to. I can't entertain.